Yeah, the NFL had a pretty amazing day yesterday. My God.
We're going to have a pretty amazing night tonight.
Ironic that you're the first person in the Twitch chat room to tell us what a day. The biggest Tua hater in the world.
Oh,
With an
welcome.
all caps, what a day.
Welcome.
You've sent me emails. You've sent me texts.
Yep.
You've sent me tweets. You've done everything you can to tell me how much Tua sucks. And yet you're the first one in here with an all caps, what a day.
Yeah, bright and
What a
early.
day.
Now, we knew Adam would be happy today.
Of course.
I mean, because his Jags are going to the Super Bowl now, but
I was thinking about Adam as that game was going on.
I was thinking about you.
I was thinking about Frank. Wonder if he had the collar on.
No, Frank still had the Michigan State collar on yesterday. I never switched to the Steelers because I knew they were going to lose too.
Did you see Bud Elliott give you a little love?
Yeah. It's fantastic.
That's great.
Unless I have you mistaken behind, I thought you were the one that bashed Tua for about 2 years in here.
I don't have the chat up. What's his username?
Behind 95.
I don't know.
Maybe if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I thought you were the one that was. There's a lot of anti-Tua people in this room.
And because of it, some very anti-Miller and Moulton sentiment over the last 2 years. I looked at my mother and I said, would it be asking too much after the Ravens took the lead late? I said, would it be asking too much for Tua to drive them down the field and throw a 6th touchdown pass? That seems like a big ask.
I just didn't want a field goal because I didn't want to go 0-5 the way my day was going. I just needed, I needed a win, David.
Well, that's okay. I mean, there were so many games yesterday. Who turned a game off thinking they had won or lost a bet only to find out that the opposite had occurred? Because I thought I had won on the Raiders.
I watched the whole game.
At 20-0, I'm like, well, this got that sucker right.
When Tua goes for 2 to make it an 8-point game, I went, oh, no.
Well, but okay, just, and then last play of the game, they keep him out of the end zone, they'd win by 8. And then I'm okay. Okay, they go to overtime. If numbers 5.5. All right, Derek, give me a little touchdown. Give me a little 29-23.
Well, yeah, after they score the touchdown, I'm like, you better get the 2 here, Murray.
Right.
I need
overtime.
By the way, how suspenseful was that 2-point conversion where he stood
the one before?
The one before where he stood in the pocket for 7 years.
God. Also, apparently they measured it. He ran 88 yards on the play.
There are some stats in Peter King's article this morning.
Okay, I didn't see it.
The next gen stats. It's how much the D-backs ran for the Ravens yesterday.
We're on a 10.
Paul, I'm good. I've had 2 good nights sleep.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton on a Monday, the likes of which I don't know if the two of us have ever experienced before. So we asked the question, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on a football Monday.
Football Monday. Wow.
Whew.
I think somebody just scored and came back and won a game from the clutches of defeat, David. What a Sunday.
Pick the game.
Exactly.
Man, oh man. Did the football deliver yesterday? Today is the type of day, Mark, in which you could just go purely on emotion and you could also just go purely on stats. Gaudy offensive stats and gaudy, amazing historical stats in terms of the last time such and such happened. Stats. Remarkable. First off, how you doing? How was your weekend?
My weekend was terrific. I had a daddy-daughter weekend. My wife was away for the weekend, so Maddie watched a lot of college football with her father on Saturday. Mom got home on Sunday by about halftime, but she even said to me, she was, we going to watch football together this weekend, Dad? I said, yes, we are, sweetheart. Yes, we are.
Wow, that is quite the kid right there. That is quite the young lady that you two are raising. Right
So watched football with my daughter on Saturday, and obviously yesterday. What an amazing day of football. This league delivers just a little bit, and we watched things of the likes that we had not seen before, that we had wished for, hoped for, and, well, teams delivered.
Well, if you go all the way back to Friday night, I mean, if you're a Florida State fan, but also if you're just a fan and you've been paying attention, I mean, what a gritty, inspiring win by Florida State on Friday night. I mean, what a win in which they lose their quarterback. They lose their best offensive lineman. They lose their best defensive player. They lose another top player. And then they gut out a come-from-behind road win to start the season 3-0. I mean, it was as if in the state anyway, Mark, that was the literally kickoff to what was going to be either a remarkable or a gritty, depending on your team, weekend.
There's no doubt, David. And boy, it was not the first quarterback that would be injured in the weekend. And you have to give it up for the Noles in that game, David, because they were those are the type of wins that are going to really escalate that program to where they want to get to. They had a quarterback, and that was the first thing we talked about after the LSU game. Hey, it looks like they have competent quarterback play. And to get your quarterback injured and then still get terrific quarterback play out of your backup in that win, gutsy win. And, you mentioned emotion. I think you can just talk about that with so many teams and the gut checks that were made. And if you want to simplify this, you want to get, as you mentioned, you want to get into the stats and the numbers you can. You want to just simplify this. There was a lot of gut checks, a lot of gut check performances over the course of the weekend.
And it was glorious. And I understand that some of you, your NFL team may be 0-2, or your college team, like a Canes fan. I mean, how frustrating was that to move the ball decently and never find the end zone and lose? I think, in fact, Mark, no team this century had as many first downs in a game as the Canes and not scored a touchdown. I think they had something like 27 first downs. I mean, you look at the stat sheet and you go, oh, wow, Miami won by 10. No. So, and then I mean, my goodness, the fact that the Gators nearly lost at home to South Florida. Wow. I mean, Sunday couldn't get here fast enough, I think, for the Gators fan, who is then probably a Bucks and or Dolphins fan. And then, man, oh, man. Come on, admit it. Admit it. 35-14 Ravens. What are you thinking? Everybody, admit it. Not just Mark, not just Moulton. Come on now. 35-14.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. There was still hope. But
Really?
I was down bad. I was really down bad.
There was still hope.
No, I'm not kidding. I said
Okay.
they need to score right here. They scored. In dramatic fashion, by the way.
Yes.
And then did it again. And then did it again.
I will say at 35-14, I went, because they came out and made it 28-14. You're like, all right, let's see if they can make this a game. In the ease of which the next touchdown was scored by the Ravens, you went, well, this defense can't stop anybody.
Right.
It really wasn't about whether or not the offense could move the ball at that point. It was the fact that defensively they couldn't stop Lamar and company at all.
In fact, the first three quarters were going so well for Lamar that you were thinking, well, he was being offered $50 million a year. Do you think now he's being offered 55? I mean, that's how well it was going for Lamar.
I am so with you, because that was really my mindset watching the game, is how much money is this kid making right now, and good for him.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was going, well, he bet on himself, and let me tell you,
He's winning.
Is that bet paying off? Man, oh man. All right. There's a shot of the owner's box. That's Steve Spiscotti. What is he doing? Well, he's calling the armored truck and he's asking for a third. Right. Man, oh man. Whew. And then I'll say this. Win or lose, you got to interview Tyreek Hill. All right. I don't ever remember him being this great a quote in Kansas City. Maybe he was. All right. And with Mahomes and Kelsey and Andy Reid, I don't know. He was just the fourth or fifth person they'd go to. And I don't know. Maybe he reined it in Kansas City because it's the type of market in which they kind of want you to rein it in a little bit. But Tyreek Hill needs his own show. Tyreek Hill could do live 30 minutes post-game and replace any network post-game show. Tyreek, can you describe the fourth quarter? Man, I thought Mike McDaniel was playing Madden out there. I mean, there you go. Okay. All right. Mark, you and I have been doing this a long time. We've both lived in the state since the late 90s. I can't remember a better win for the Dolphins.
No way. Not in our time down here.
And you and I were both here when they won their last playoff game, which was dramatic, come from behind at home, the whole deal. But man, oh man, just in terms of excitement, in terms of thinking about what is truly possible. And not only that, let's be honest. Now, even the biggest Dolphin/Tua fan didn't think he could do that. I mean, seriously, come on, admit it. You didn't think. I mean, he was Dan flipping Marino for an hour yesterday. He was. You didn't think he had it in him. You didn't. And for the first time in a quarter century, a Dolphin fan, especially one of a certain age, how many grandfathers and fathers, Mark, turned to their sons and grandkids and looked at them and said, that's how we used to play. That's how it used to look.
According to Peter King's article, the Baltimore defensive backs ran a total of 6,131 yards in the game. Seems like a lot. In fact, it's the most that any secondary's run in 2 years back there.
And imagine that by the fourth quarter, they were tired. Well, we talked about if the Dolphins were going to win, they caught Baltimore's corners at the right time. They were down to their second and third waves. at corner especially. And so the thought was, man, if the Dolphins were going to win, they could probably score some points here and maybe win a shootout. And I'll be damned if they didn't. Although it took a long time. It was like they weren't they getting lost on the way to the shootout? Hey, do you know where the shootout is? Go down here, make a right. And you drive 3 miles down the road and you go, damn it, I think we got the wrong directions again.
They were definitely spinal tapping that building trying to find the stage for 3 quarters, David. There is no doubt. They're just taking arrows and lights and finally made their way to the field. And then, well, all hell broke loose in the fourth quarter. The Miami Dolphins with don't even know how to put it. For a week 2 win, the importance of it, I think, is staggering.
And especially because they've got a lot of tough games on their schedule. So they're going to be behind another half dozen times deep into the second half of games. And now they all know, the quarterback, the receivers, the line, the coaching staff, they all know, hey, we can do this. We can do this.
Remarkable. Huge win for the Dolphins. Huge win for the Bucs.
Yes.
As they take care of business, finally being able to defeat the New Orleans Saints in the regular season.
Okay, I want to say something. As soon as that fight happened, I would have live bet the Bucs right there. That anger in Brady's eyes, angry Tom Brady. You can't beat that. I don't care if it's the Saints. You cannot beat angry Tom Brady.
How about Mike Evans? Did you read his lips as he's getting thrown out of the game? And he says to the official, it's Tom Brady. What do you expect me to do? Like he's a Secret Service agent and it's the president. I got to throw my body in front of the moving car. What are you telling me?
Will be interesting. And, there was already talk yesterday that they may add a game to that, David. I don't think it'll happen, but just because of the history that there's talking about suspensions beyond what the game was, I would be stunned if that happens.
NFL, shut up. Honestly, NFL, you finally got 2 teams that genuinely hate each other and would play for free in the parking lot. Don't mess it up. Okay, come on. Let them talk trash. Let them meet afterwards in the back alley before boarding the team bus. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us, Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, Adam, here's the deal. Jameis wasn't winning that game yesterday. Lattimore should not have been ejected. That was a bad break for the Saints, and there's no doubt Tampa took advantage of it. But it was 3-3 at the time of the ejection. Jameis was not beating the Bucs yesterday. The defense would have won it for Tampa, even if Brady and them never scored a point on their own. Was
Robert?
it
Robert, what station are you talking about? The second person says we're not on the radio, Felipe.
Say again?
The two people have put on the show that we're not on radio.
Okay. There's a radio in Chris's room, and I went, and we sounded fine. So
what station are you looking at, Robert?
Yeah.
Awesome.
When you all tell us we're not on the radio, remember, we're in 4 markets. We need stations.
I responded to the first one and said, we're on in South Florida and 98.1 FM.
Robert, really, what station, man? We really need your help here. When you come put that kind of a comment on and we ask you, I really need your help, bro. Okay, great. Good talk. The ESPN app?
Well, then, Robert, listen to us on another app. I mean, you can listen to us.
iHeart.
Yeah, go to the iHeart app.
Or right on Twitch, Robert, would be the other one.
Yeah, Robert, there are other apps that we're on.
Well, he's
all right.
He's watching us on Facebook, so.
Yeah.
But a lot of people probably listen on that app too. So,
well, unfortunately, we don't control it.
Can you text Chris Beasley right now and tell him we're not on the ESPN app and find out why? I don't give a damn if it's 6:18 in the morning. I'm so sick of this goddamn place.
It'd be nice to be on a real station.
It'd just be nice for shit to work on a Monday morning. It's all I want. I'd like to come in here when I get up at 4:00 in the morning and just have everything work one flippin' Monday.
Yeah, Stumpy, that's ignorant. I'm sorry. That's ignorant. It just is. Okay, that's you trying to defend the fact that you're wrong. That is. Oh, well, you know, if they beat the Bills, then, you know, really? Come on. I mean, just admit it. You were wrong. He can play. He just needed some pieces around him. I mean, what was Josh Allen before they put Stephon Diggs around him? He was a 57% completion quarterback. By the way, Adam, are you talking to us or the listener? Okay.
Probably the listener.
I mean, because once again, we don't control anything. First off, Stumpy, they've had back-to-back winning seasons. All right. In the last 37 games in the AFC, there are 2 franchises that have won more games. 2. The Bills and the Chiefs. That's it. So once again, Stumpy, you're wrong, and you're incapable of saying the words. And that's okay.
$30 seconds.
That's true, Stumpy. It is your opinion, and you're entitled to it.
You know who didn't have a good Sunday is Hunter Renfrow.
No, he did not.
No, not good. 10 seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. We're obviously going to have a fun, lively show after a fun, lively sports weekend, predominantly football, but sports weekend as well. Spent much of our first segment talking about probably the Dolphins' biggest regular season win in a generation. I don't think that's an overstatement. Biggest Dolphins regular season win in a generation yesterday, coming from 21 down in the fourth quarter against a team that most of us think is a good team. Albeit a little banged up at corner, and the Dolphins able to take advantage of it. But, whew. And then, Mark, there was Tampa. And you know that's the type of game I love.
That was a business trip. And that was your kind of business trip, David. It really was. And that was a fly-in Saturday night, get right to the hotel, go to bed, go to work, get the job done, get back on the plane, and come home with ice all over you. I mean, that was a workman's-like performance, and this Bucs defense is for real, folks. As good as Tua was yesterday, and as exciting as that was, the other end wasn't as exciting, but man, oh man, did that Tampa defense come to play yesterday.
Every now and then you get rivalries, but you also get games within the rivalry that are personal. And you could tell pretty early on, late yesterday afternoon, that game was personal. Both ways. And I know 3-0, 3-3, and everybody's playing fantasy, so they're losing their minds. And I'm sorry. All right. Mark and I, late last week, we showed up for the show at around 5:30 or so. And we never know what channel is going to be on the TV in the studio. We don't control anything. We don't work for the station. We literally rent the space for 4 hours and we leave. And on TV,
and David just froze up on us right at that story. How about that for a little bit of a mishap? But because here's the problem with the number of shows we do, the number of times we come in, and David's trying to tell me what's on the television. I have no clue what was on the television the morning that he's talking about. I'd love to be able to jump right in and pick this story up where he's leaving it off, but I don't have a clue what he's talking about with what's on. Oh, you know what he was talking about? The fight was on the other day.
What fight?
Ali and Frazier. That's what we walked in on. We walked in on Ali Frazier.
Here?
Yeah.
What channel?
On, I don't know, whatever channel was on. I know you're doing stuff, but as the point he was making, we don't control the TV. But Ali Frazier was on. And it was, I think it was 3 in which they just beat the hell out of one another. And we sat here and got mesmerized by a fight that happened 50 years ago.
Man.
And that's what yesterday and that's where David was going. That yesterday was very simply Ali and Frazier and the Bucs. And you've started freezing, and it took me a second. I made the point. I said, boy, it tells you where we are. David's talking about, I'm trying to figure out what the hell was on television, but now it dawned on me. Ali Frazier was on television, and they were beating the ever-living hell out of one another, and that's what yesterday was, David. Yesterday was a prize fight.
And usually when there's a fight in an NFL game, we all yell, "What are you guys doing? That's stupid. Come on, you got helmets on. Nobody, And Mark, I found myself, yeah. And, they lose Evans. The Saints lose Lattimore. Turns out to be a bigger loss for the Saints because they were down their other corner. So once Lattimore went out, they really had no defense for the Bucs wide receivers. I still contend. Listen, Lattimore shouldn't have gotten ejected. Evans should have. All right. Bad break for the Saints. I contend, Mark, there's no way the Saints were winning that game yesterday. The Bucs defense wasn't going to let it happen. Jameis wasn't going to win the game, quite frankly. Jameis looked like the quarterback that the Bucs got rid of. He did yesterday. He did. And if you really think about it, they only scored 10 points in the first 3 quarters against Atlanta. They've had 1 good quarter out of 8. so far this year. It's the same with the Colts, by the way. Colts have played one good quarter so far this year. You got to be concerned about those two offenses right now when you've had one good quarter out of 8.
And the Bucs with Brady able to get it done without Lattimore, as you mentioned, able to find some spaces, complete a couple of passes, and get the victory. And total opposites in what happened with 2 of the 3 Florida teams. We'll get to the Jags later on and their impressive victory over the Colts. But 2 completely opposite performances, and each team goes home with similar feelings besides the win. I mean, the win's one thing. The Dolphins were able to, for the first time with this group, overcome adversity and now have something to build upon when they're trailing in other games. And the Bucs exercised some demons against a team they couldn't beat in the regular season, and they did it by punching them in the mouth in their own place.
Well, think about it. They beat the Saints at the Saints game. They didn't
In
go
their
in there.
place, too.
Yes.
And I know home field doesn't mean as much as it once did, but it does there. The Saints have a home field advantage.
And so the Bucs went into their backyard and beat them at the game that they wanted to play. Now, granted, the Saints are sitting there with a 6-pack and a pack of smokes, and they're basically saying, tell them to line up in 2 hours and we'll do it again. And those 2 teams, by the way, meet in December on Monday Night Football in Tampa. And if you're into prize fights, that'll be worth the price of admission right there. Just watch them play. But, you know, Mark, I could make the case right now. Bucs won the NFC South yesterday.
I might have a tough time arguing the point.
I mean, the other 2 teams in the division are both 0-2, and we're not taking them seriously. I mean, let's be honest. If Tom Brady is standing, this is a team that can go to the Super Bowl. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Unless injuries ravage that team. That's a top 5 defense in the league, and they got Tom Brady and a fleet of wide receivers. If Brady is standing, I think they'll be one of the final 4 teams left in this soiree.
And they didn't even have any of the receivers for yesterday.
Right.
I mean, they needed Scotty. You know, there's no Julio yesterday, no Godwin yesterday. They lose Julio they lose
Evans
for half the game with getting kicked out there. I mean, they had nobody. Rashad Perryman's the guy scoring touchdown passes, for crying out loud.
Brady's looking over at Scotty Miller going, you know, I kept you on this team for a reason. That reason's today. Oh, man. Football delivered yesterday. It delivered in terms of, you know, high wire acts, and it delivered in 2 teams that fought in a phone booth yesterday. Good stuff.
No doubt. And, wow. Some opportunities for some teams that were just squandered away. We will get to all of it coming up in the starting 5 here in a moment, of teams that had opportunity. You know, you talk about divisions that were there and lost. The Cleveland Browns yesterday really let one get away, David. That will come back and bite them.
By the way, that was also a huge win for the Jets. Like, similar to the Dolphins' biggest win in a really long time.
It is. It is. I don't think people believe that the Jets are contenders, though. It might be the type of win in which, instead of having a 5-win season, it catapults them to having a pulse this year. Something no one's talking about, and I have to admit I didn't think of it at the time, but, you know, Jets had no timeouts at the 2-minute warning. If Nick Chubb doesn't score, if he goes down, that game's over. Now, granted, the Browns should have won. They should have. And I've got a stat of all stats in the starting 5 to show what a staggering collapse that was for the Browns. But if Nick Chubb doesn't score, intentionally doesn't score, all right, that's a W. Jets can't stop the clock. 3 knees later, game's over. 2 knees later, in fact, would have been over.
Miller and Moulton. We'll get to that and all of the weekend's events coming up on the other side. It is the starting 5, and it is next on Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, Are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you get my question there?
Yeah, I can do that.
Or something along those lines. That was weird, by the way, with the internet. Apparently it went down in the whole building because I clicked on the thing here and it said internet is out.
Yeah, it was just funnier than hell because you were literally, and I'm like, what were we watching? We always, and I'm sorry, I said, the greatness of doing this show is that David's talking about something else on television. I am racking my brain right now trying to figure out what the hell it is he's talking about. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I'm like, the fight! And I kind of yelled it out just like that.
No, the Colts can't.
Oh, we just lost you again, David. Really don't need you gone for the starting five. There he is.
God, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, he tweeted it out, SEC. I saw it.
Close the blind soon?
Depends. Sun coming up right behind you?
I don't know.
What way are you facing?
I don't think so. I think east is that way.
Well, it'd even be better.
Thought I'm facing west.
How close are you to the stadium?
10, 12 minutes. Yeah, once again, I do need to say to everybody in the Twitch and Facebook chat rooms, when you're talking about a station, you have to tell us which one. Like Bray, when you say, the local stations, you got to let us know what market you're in, what stations. Oh, it's coming, Johnny Mac. It's coming. And we got JP Shadrick in 2 hours. Don't worry. We'll take care of Adam today. Yeah, Walk with Sick. We were talking about that because Thursday Night Football was on Twitch and Amazon Prime last year with their own Hannah Storm, Andrea Kramer broadcast.
By the way, apparently Jameis played with like 4 fractures in his back now.
Yeah.
Like what?
4 fractured vertebrae.
What the hell?
That's a fact.
Poor Jameis.
Good luck, KW.
We're coming back.
Technically, it's 6, Paul. It's 6. I did.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm coming at you from Philadelphia, the site of one of the 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, 7:15 and 8:30. This is an experiment. They've never done this before. 2 games, which at least for an hour and a half will be going on at the same time. Normally, you get a game in prime time, gets its own window. Not tonight. We'll see how you fans think about it. Without further ado, it is time for
The Starting 5. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, where do you want to start?
WNBA.
Congratulations to Las Vegas. They won the title.
Thank you.
To the NFL, Dolphins rally from 35-14 down. Tua throws 6. That's right, 6 touchdown passes, including the game winner to Waddle with 14 seconds to go. Miami beats Lamar and the Ravens 42-38. I will say on the final play of the game, that was defensive pass interference in the end zone. It'll be interesting because we all know they never call it. There's Hail Marys, bombs in the end zone. You could tackle them. And, well, the Dolphins damn near did. And I'm wondering if that now the Hail Mary is going to start to be officiated differently after the final play of that Dolphins-Ravens game yesterday. Just throwing that out there. Dolphins 2-0, arguably best regular season win of the century for Miami yesterday. Tampa, meanwhile, I don't know if it's exercising little demons. I don't know if it's winning the NFC South. Anyway, they won a prize fight yesterday with the Saints. They went into New Orleans and beat them 20-10, 17-point fourth quarter, 3 Jameis interceptions. Apparently played that game with what?
4 broken vertebrae, 4 fractured vertebrae.
That would seem painful.
Yes.
That would seem to affect one's performance. Maybe the head coach should have gone to Andy Dalton in a 3-3 game. Just saying. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Bucks are 2-0. Saints are 1-1. Give it up to the first place Jacksonville Jaguars. That's right. You heard me. The first place Jacksonville Jaguars. You know, what was everybody getting all bent out of shape about Trevor Lawrence about? For goodness sakes, last year was a joke. Okay, you can't grade anybody on last year in Jacksonville. That wasn't a professional operation that Urban Meyer ran. He plays one game, he loses with 6 minutes to go at Washington, and everybody's thinking Trevor Lawrence is a bust. He went 25 for 30 yesterday with 235 and 2 touchdowns. Oh, yeah, the Colts were held to 9 first downs. Matt Ryan with 3 interceptions. And Jacksonville's now beaten Indianapolis 8 straight times in Jacksonville. 24-0. 24-0. So the Browns lost to the Jets. Mark, since November of 2001, NFL teams who had a 13-point or greater lead with under a minute and a half to go were 2,229-0. 2,229-0. So Joe Flacco throws a 66-yard bomb. They recover the onside kick. Flacco drives him down and throws a 15-yard touchdown with 22 seconds to go. The Jets, meanwhile, make both their extra points. The Browns, when they went up 2 scores, missed theirs. Jets 31, Browns 30.
Browns could be 2-0 after that Ravens loss, sitting on top of the division with a Steeler team that's a wreck and a Bengals team that looks worse. I'm telling you, David, that loss, we will come back and look at that. That is going to be monumental in the Browns season.
The New York Giants are 2-0. It was an awful game. Awful. They're not good. Their record is they're not good. But they won, and they haven't done a lot of that in the last 5-6 years. 1916 over Carolina and Matt Rule, who could be day-to-day as head coach, the way things are going. Both teams with less than 300 yards. Baker, I think, with net under 150 yards passing. Right. 1916 Giants. Patriots got a big 44-yard touchdown, late seconds of the first half, and that was pretty much the difference. They held off the Steelers 17-14. Pittsburgh with only 243 yards of offense. Remember, they had less than 300 yards of offense in the overtime win over Cincy.
It's a really tough watch. I was forced to watch the second half. Fortunately, my wife did not come back until the second half. Ugh.
Aiden Hutchinson with 3 sacks. Detroit scored early and often. Held off Washington 36-27. Both teams are 1-1. I got to say, classy post-game. You could find it out there on the internet. So the Lions were forced to insert somebody at guard yesterday who literally 6 years in the league, he had never played guard. He played a position in the National Football League. This isn't your pickup game here. This isn't Division III Hobart. All right. In the National Football League, they said, hey, you, Sam. Yeah, can you play guard today? Yeah, by the way, you're blocking a first-round draft pick. They gave him a game ball. Classy move. Hey, give it up to the Cowboys, man. Everybody wrote them off. Cooper Rush and all. And, yeah, the Bengals are a mess, and the Bengals, but the Dallas was all over Joe Burrow.
How did the Bengals offensive line get worse?
I think Joe is asking himself that question on the way home.
They've been sacked like 13, 14 times now in 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. 2 weeks. Correct. 2.
Holy cow.
Right. Brett Maher, a 50-yard field goal at the gun. Cowboys beat the Bengals 20-17. Cincy, one of 6, technically 5 0-2 teams. We'll get to that in a bit. So Vegas led Arizona 20-0. Then they led them 23-15. All they had to do was keep Arizona out of the end zone final play of the game. They couldn't do it. Then all they had to do was stop the 2-point conversion. They couldn't do it. Then they're driving in overtime, and there's a fumble. And, yeah, Byron Murphy picks up the fumble and returns it nearly 60 yards for the game-winning touchdown in overtime. Although, let me tell you, that move he pulled at the goal line, in which he was showboating and all that, and then he barely, and I mean barely, got to the goal line before he threw the ball away. Dude, I mean, I'm tempted to cut him, even though he just had the game-winning touchdown. 29-23 Arizona.
My favorite part about that play, when you see the highlight again, when he gets to about the 30-yard line, there is either a guy not playing or a staffer from the Cardinals in a purple suit that starts running the sideline with him and keeps right on going into the locker room. You notice things, David. I notice things.
There you go. The Raiders, by the way, are 0-2. Who saw that coming? The Rams held off Atlanta 31-27. They led that game 28-3. Denver, it was not pretty. Listen, this is how bad things are going in Denver. So the offense is struggling so badly, the crowd starts counting down the play clock for the home team, not the visiting team, for the home team. That's how bad things were going once again on offense for Denver. They beat Houston 16-9.
The key sequence there, David, for a coach that's having trouble with things is they attempted a 54-yard field goal. They made the field goal, but happened to have a delay of game penalty. It was moved back 5 yards where they decided to punt.
Huh. Interesting. Right.
Didn't they try to kick a 64-yarder last week?
Just the week before, correct. So 59 at home in the altitude is too far. 64 at some semblance of sea level is within range. Right.
Yes.
The Niners beat the Seahawks 27-7. Trey Lance broke his ankle. He's out for the year. Jimmy Garoppolo comes off the bench, gets treated like he's one of the Beatles. And, yeah, that's going to be really awkward for Trey Lance going forward. Really awkward.
That could have been him.
Yeah, but it's not.
It was supposed to be.
Green Bay beat Chicago because, well,
right.
It's a rule. 27-10. I will say this for Bears fans, less than 250 yards of offense again. And how many passes did Justin Fields complete? Was it 7 for less than 100 yards? I think he's completed 15 passes on the year. So I know they're 1-1, but this is not good so far. The Lions, Jets, and Jags all won on the same day. The last time that happened was December of 2011. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Yes, that's right. Lions, Jets, and Jags all winning on the same day. It had been 11 years. 7:15 tonight, Titans and Bills. Bills are a 10-point favorite. 8:30 tonight here in Philadelphia, Vikings and Eagles. Philly, 2.5-point favorite at home. Arizona State fired Herm Edwards. Top 7 teams in the college football polls are exactly the same: Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, Oklahoma, USC. Florida ranked in both polls. Florida State and Miami ranked 25th in both polls. Florida State unranked still in both polls. Major League Baseball, Rays took 2 of 3 from Texas. Yankees avoid the sweep in Milwaukee because Judge hit his 58th and 59th homers. Toronto lost to Baltimore. Seattle lost their 3rd straight to the Angels. You add it all up, Mark. Toronto's the 4, a half a game ahead of Tampa, and Seattle is the 6th seed right now. By the way, Cleveland won the first 3 games of their showdown series with Minnesota. Twins won yesterday 5-0. White Sox a winner. They're 3.5 back. National League, Braves and Mets both won. They both swept their series. They're tied in the loss column for what it's worth. San Diego's the 5. The Phillies are a half game back as the 6, and they're 2 games ahead of Milwaukee for the final playoff spot in the National League. Mark, you asked earlier, I'll repeat it. Las Vegas, your WNBA champion, they won game 4 of the best of 5 against Connecticut, 78-71. Becky Hammon, as a rookie head coach, wins the title. Las Vegas is first, by the way. Saturday night at Bristol, Chris Boucher won at Bristol. But Chase Elliott's back in first in the points race. Joey Logano, who wasn't first, finished 27th. He's now second. Our buddy Ross Chastain finished sixth. He's third, 15 points back in the Cup title. PGA Tour out in Napa, the Fortinet Championship. Max Homa a winner. Remember, this is the last year.
Back for him.
Yeah, this is the last year of the fall series, if you will. They'll, at the end of next season, they will wait until January to start playing golf again for real. Danny Willett was one back. Ricky Fowler finished tied for sixth. Needless to say, he needs showings like that. Cam Smith, the winner on the LIV series in Chicago, he won by 3 over DJ and Peter Uihlein. For the record, DJ, between individual and team competition, has played all 5 LIV events. He's won $12.5 million.
Seems like that's pretty good.
And you wonder why they made the move? Don't wonder anymore. It's for the Benjamins. It's the same reason you left your last job and went to your current job. There you go. And did I mention the Lions, Jets, and Jags all won on the same day, and that hadn't happened in 11 years?
You did.
Yeah.
11 years.
Yeah. But my favorite stat of the day, up by 2 scores with a minute and a half or less, NFL teams were 2,229-0 until the Jets came back on the Browns yesterday. And that, gentleman, was...
That was the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
I mean, pick your favorite stat. Tua with 6 touchdowns, 4 of them in the fourth quarter. The Lions, Jets, Jags stat, the 2,229-0 stat. Do we want to get into no 0-2 team made the playoffs last year? Both the Raiders and Bengals are already 0-2 this year. Will the stats still apply? What is interesting, Mark, is the symmetry year to year quickly. Like at this time last year, there were 7 teams that were 2-0. I think after tonight, we're going to have either 5 or 6. If Buffalo wins, we'll have 6. Also, 0-2 teams last year. We have the same number of 0-2 teams at this point of the season this year as we did last year. Basically, it's 6 2-0s, 6 0-2s, and 20 in the middle. That's the start of an average NFL season.
Miller and Moulton. We'll put our poll question up on the other side and talk more football. What the hell else are we going to do on the Florida Sports Network?
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers,
Are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Paul, I wanted to keep the view as long as possible. The problem is with that much light in the background, I was pretty much disappearing. Which, not the worst thing in the world either.
Tomatoes and creamy mayo. Boom!
Yeah, Judge has got a real shot now at the Triple Crown. So let's get this straight. Judge turns down a little over $30 million a year. It may go out and win the Triple Crown.
Right. Do you want, hey, David, just for the poll question, after yesterday's performance, do you believe in Tua? Yes, no, or do you want a third choice?
By the way, how about
Just hold on, Felipe. Just hold on. Okay?
Sorry.
Do we want to give him need more time? Still undecided?
Yeah, I think you're going to see.
Problem is, if we give people the out, I think they'll
I know.
take it. No, DC, here's the problem, though, DC. I mean, and I'm not saying this for you, but, a bunch of people for 2 years come off the top rope on the MFR, and then he goes out and he does what you guys have been wanting him to do, and everybody goes, well, just take it easy now. No, you guys haven't taken it easy for 2 years. But I guess we should give him a third choice.
No, we didn't.
No? Okay.
No. Screw him.
Well, that's good, because then I want the good, because then the people the last 2 years have to stick to their guns.
Tua didn't underthrow that last ball to Tyreek.
Apparently, the play in the third quarter was the effort play that they came up with it, which is pretty funny.
The what play?
The one where the effort, they called it the whole, but that I still don't like to say that when there's a microphone around. That
Right.
was the effort play.
Is that like Bum Phillips? Run the Bomberooski. What? Run
Basically.
the Bomberooski.
We had talked the night before at the quarterback meeting. McDaniel said Tua knew he liked the opportunity. He goes, yeah, 3rd and 12, 3rd and long. I really like the effort play. Apparently, for the first 3 quarters, Tua averaged 5.6 air yards per attempt. In the 4th quarter, he averaged 11.1.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
F it.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this football Monday after a great football weekend. Even if your team was on the wrong side, it was a great weekend. Unfortunately, somebody has to lose some of these games. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. And, well, very few of the Florida teams did. Knowles on Friday. Gators on Saturday. Barely. Oh, barely at home against South Florida.
Whoa.
And then Bucks, Dolphins, Jags, winner, 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 chicken dinner. Thank you very much. Huh?
And the Jags were the most impressive of the 3 victories.
Right. Not the most exciting.
No. The most impressive.
Right. But, Mark, we have not tackled the 800-pound gorilla that is out there. And I don't know if we can do it without maybe coming off the top rope a little bit, because you and I are pretty good about taking the grief that comes with being lucky enough to talk into a microphone for some semblance of a living. When you do that, A, you're going to say things sometimes that are stupid. B, you're going to say things that turn out to be wrong.
And for that, listen, Fridays at 7:30.
For when Miller and Moulton make their picks.
I don't even know about you. When Miller makes his picks, go run the other way. Run the damn other way.
Well, I was having a winning week till the Raiders decided to. Anyway. So back to the whole Miller and Moulton being fools and taking grief. But Miller and Moulton agreed on one thing a couple years ago. We liked Tua. We thought he could play. Now, we knew coming in, he's not as big and as strong as Burrow and Herbert. And we know he's coming in off a major injury. But we think the guy can play. We think he's a franchise quarterback. Now, whether he's an elite franchise quarterback or he's a really good franchise quarterback. But we thought that when his career was done, he would be the 3rd best quarterback in Dolphins history. And considering the other 2 are in the Hall of Fame, we thought he's going to be pretty good. And they've had a winning record each of the last 2 years, and they've done it apparently in spite of Tua because he just sucks.
And can't suck enough.
Sucks. And therefore, you know who sucks along with him?
Miller and Moulton.
And everybody else who has defended Tua. And by the way, one of those is Orlando Alzugaray. And he's going to come and crow a little bit in an hour here on Miller and Moulton. So back to Miller and Moulton sucking along with Tua. So then yesterday happens. And well, I mean, I'm happy for the Dolphins. And we're both happy for Tua. But there was a little part of Miller and Moulton who were like, is this when we jump on and do a live Twitch show and just basically tell everybody who has, and I mean some very unpleasant things. Wow. I mean, you're not supposed to put all those words together in the same sentence.
Hard consonants.
Yes.
Hard consonants.
Yes. Like I used up all my asterisks and I still can't bleep it out. It's nasty stuff. Right. So now that they are 2-0, and now that you have 37 games worth of evidence, a winning season, 10-6, a winning season at 9-8, now 2-0, in which he looked like Dan Marino for an hour. And come on, in the last 20-something years, if you ever said that about a Dolphins quarterback, even me, president or vice president of the Ryan Tannehill fan club, never looked like Dan Marino for a minute and a half.
Never once.
No. Tua looked like Dan Marino for an hour yesterday. Okay? So, Mark, shall we give people a chance to say, what was that Marissa Tomei line again?
I was wrong.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What? Wrong. That's all. That's all. Just that's, you know what? We don't need to go any further than that.
Just say
we don't
sorry.
need to pound our chest. No, it's okay.
No. I don't even need a sorry.
Nope. That's just a chance for you to correct a wrong. And we'll do it very simply. You don't have to call into a show. You don't have to send in a text or chime in our Twitch chat room. You don't even have to put your name on it. We'll let you do it anonymously.
Besides, that's what people like to do these days anyhow.
Right.
Since a lot of the grief that we take is anonymous in the form of a text or a tweet with an obscure handle.
Right.
Twitch chat room with some obscure nickname that maybe once in a while you walk up to us at a fantasy football event and say, yeah, I'm Klecko73. Oh, okay.
Hey, Joe. No, my name's not Joe. It's Paul. Oh, okay. So what do you say, Mark? We'll just throw out a poll question because we know what the results of the poll question were on Friday. I mean, we just know over 2 years of gathering information, intel, R&D. All right, we knew how this poll question would have been answered on Friday. So now we're just curious to see how the very same poll question will be answered on Monday.
It's very simple after yesterday's performance. Do you believe in Tua? I kind of want to sing it, Do you believe in Tua?
He throws 6 touchdowns, 4 in the fourth quarter, deep. Lamar puts up a great performance, and you know who wins the day? That's Tua.
Do you believe in Tua?
Just the two of us.
So, it's a very simple poll question. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com. There's that Mark Miller on Twitter. And trust me, you know that because I know many of the tweets that you've sent him. And if you didn't send them to him, you sent them to me at the David Moulton. So there it is. Very simply. That's all.
They are Tua in O, David. You made fun of me when I said that last week.
They are.
The reality.
Right. I mean, there is a political organization and channel that has changed their name from QAnon to Tuanon. That's how good the performance was.
First time that's ever made this show before. Well played there, Moulton.
Hello.
Holy cow.
So, all right, it's very simple question. Once again, you can keep it to yourself. That's all. Just once more, if you haven't voted and you're pondering, there are 2 other quarterbacks in Dolphins history before yesterday who threw 6 touchdown passes in a game. Those 2 quarterbacks were the 2 guys in the Hall of Fame named Marino and Greasy. That's all. That's all. So just answer accordingly. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, floridasportsnetwork.com. Now, do you think basically Tua can play a little bit?
And a texture already gives us the old halfway believe. I've seen James have a 2-game stretch before. Let's settle down.
Okay.
Jameis,
All right.
Jameis threw
So
6 months?
Then, by the way, that means you're a no. Sorry.
Yeah, halfway is a no. You either
That's a
believe
no.
or you don't. And that's fine.
Yes.
And actually, I give you a lot of respect for sticking to your guns after that performance, because it's very easy to sit there and see one great game and say, yes, for Moulton and I, we believed this long before yesterday.
Also, he's played pretty well these last 2 years. Everybody's just focusing on everything he can't do. By the way, do you know what the guy in Los Angeles can't do? He can't win. He has a losing record in the league. And I could argue the roster he's played with has been every bit as good as the Dolphins roster. All right. So don't get me wrong. The guy in Los Angeles, drafted one spot after Tua, yes, looks better in shorts and a t-shirt. Absolutely. And can do things on the field that Tua can't do. But he also has not figured out how to win yet. I'm just saying. And last time I checked, we keep score on Sundays. That's all.
Text the show. 21,000 is the number. If you've never texted before, the keyword is FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio. Send your text in, whether you are a Tua believer or you are not a Tua believer. Want to hear from you on this great football Monday. What an NFL weekend that we had yesterday, and a pretty darn good college slate as well, with some big games to talk about and some big calls to talk about. We'll have them in our Clutch Vodka Play of the Day coming up in around 15 minutes.
Listen, we love our college football. We do. But when the NFL has a day like they had yesterday, I got to admit, college football seems like Arena 2 when the NFL, I mean, the Reds, I don't know. Did you watch Red Zone? You usually put that on.
No, I watched games yesterday.
Okay.
I mean, I've made a commitment this year to not miss Dolphins and Bucks football. So I had both games on and head was on a swivel.
I'm told, because I was not at a place where I could see Red Zone, I am told the action was so bat blank crazy yesterday. Red Zone couldn't keep up.
Yes, it was peak Red Zone. That's a good way to describe it.
That's all. Half an hour, and they were playing from behind.
Outstanding.
Week 3, by the way. Only week 3.
Miller and Moulton. We will get things rolling on this show as well. Thank you so much for listening. Orlando Alzugaray and JP Shadrick still coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Your text, tweets, and comments all still ahead, plus the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day on the other side right here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, how poetic that Kevin Harlan was on the call for that Dolphins game. I was in heaven.
I love Kevin Harlan.
Oh, he's awesome. He is awesome. Oh, wait, the Falcons almost won.
Yes.
I know, down 28-3.
Yes,
Oh
and
my
if they would have won, I was rooting hard for
Yes,
them to win
Me too.
because
Oh,
Close
I
the-
took Denver. I sweated out Denver, but I'm like, come on, baby, let's go.
I wanted them to close the door on the 28-3 curse.
I just wanted them to win for the suicide pool, man. That'd have knocked out a bunch of people.
Jalen Ramsey, though, that was a hell
Nearly
of an inning.
75% of the suicide league I'm in is done in 2 weeks.
Wow. That Jalen Ramsey interception, though, that was
It
nice.
was.
He mossed him.
It was. There's 210 people in this suicide league.
and you're down to like 50 or so.
Somewhere in that range, because there was four vertical Excel spreadsheets. If you know what I mean, Like two
So
were done. 2 were done after week 1.
Wow. Ian Eagle and Kevin Harlan, 25th season calling NFL on CBS.
Well, and Nance is close because Nance was the first voice of the SEC on CBS. So those mid-90s games, Nance is on the call. But I think the late 90s was when Vern came over to do them. Yeah, RCB, they're good. Burkhart's solid. I mean, he really is. Does a good, solid job.
That Lamar run was so demoralizing.
Mark, at what point during that run did you just say, pay the man his money? When he got to about the 20, that's when I started doing the quote in my head, pay the man his money. Golly. I will say, if I'm Lamar, I would look at the Ravens and say, just so you know, if we start to play the franchise tag game, I'm leaving when we're done. I'm not going to resign here. Just so you know. You want to play the tag game? That's fine. That's your right. But I'm leaving after 7 years. And I will take my 28-year-old ass and talents to whoever backs up the truck.
All right, 30 seconds. App State time.
Oh, you didn't get the Waddle?
Oh, I couldn't find the radio call. Do you just want me to get Kevin Harlan?
No.
No. Look harder.
Okay, hold on.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm in Philly, Monday Night Football tonight. 2 games. It's the only time this year they're doing it. Remember, they used to do it week 1. First game was around 7, second game around 10. They're trying something new tonight. First game's at 7:15, Titans and Bills. Second game's at 8:30, Vikings and Eagles. First game's on ESPN. Second game's on ABC. So they'll overlap. The second half of the first game, and the parts of Vikings Eagles will overlap. Be curious how NFL fans think of that.
It's more football. I don't know if it'll bother them that much, David. Hopefully one game's great and we can at least focus on that one. The text line is open, David, and the texts they are coming in. I had to laugh at this one. Starts out with, I'm sorry. I was preparing to roast you guys after the first half. I was already texting my buddy, Ravens fan, about how horrible Tua was. Couldn't believe what I witnessed in the second half. Legendary performance.
Okay. He's still not willing to acknowledge that, he can play a little bit, but okay.
No, I mean, I think when he says legendary performance, I think that's kind of saying he can play a little bit.
Well, I'd like to think so, but okay. So there's one convert. All right, got to start somewhere. I mean, Tua's down like 40 points in the polls heading into yesterday. I mean, he needed a big effort here. So I'm just curious to see if Tua's gotten over the line of demarcation.
Not here. That Dolphins win was more due to the wide receivers than Tua. When you have 2 of the fastest wide receivers in the league that can literally beat everyone in a race, all Tua has to do is throw it and they'll chase it down. Doesn't mean Tua is accurate.
So so I'm assuming you said the same thing about Mahomes these last 4 years. I'm just curious. I mean, because he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. So, I mean, a Hall of Fame tight end and the fastest receiver in football. So I'm assuming then that the same logic applies to Mahomes. Just curious.
They don't want to believe.
Nope. I will say that's America in the 2020s. Nobody admits they're wrong anymore. Nope. Absolutely not. Nope. I formed my opinion. Yeah, but since you formed your opinion, this person's done this, and this. Doesn't matter. Tua sucks. He's got a winning record. He's 8-1 against the great quarterbacks, Hall of Fame coaches. He did something only Marini and Greasy have ever done yesterday. Now he sucks. I said he sucks in 2020. He sucks. That's it. It's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. All right. Just curious. Just don't mind us if we just, every now and then we just wet our finger, put it up in the air, and see if the winds have changed. But okay. All right.
It's our poll question today after yesterday's performance. Are you a believer in Tua right now? About 2/3 of you are. And I think that number will shrink closer to 50-50 by the end of the show.
Absolutely. Based on the venom we have gotten for the last 2 years, we know there's an army out there. An army.
And I think your point, and I know you truly mean it, but I think it's a little bit of society that comes over. No matter what it is, we do not want to change our mind on anything.
No. I'm right, you're wrong. Yeah, but what if you're wrong? I'm right.
I'll just yell louder.
Yeah. Hey, I knew he threw 6 touchdowns, but that one touchdown pass, that was underthrown by a half a step. Okay.
And apparently now he has to beat the Bills, who, by the way, are the preseason Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't beat them, he sucks.
That Marino guy wasn't any good either. You know why? Never won a Super Bowl. Yeah, but Trent Dilfer did. You see, that's my point. Yeah. Okay. All right, just wondering, that's all. Just thought maybe after yesterday's performance, it might be the perfect opportunity. You know, the poll question's like sliding into the voting booth. You get to answer the poll question and say whatever the hell you want. I mean, if you talk to people of a certain age, McGovern beat Nixon. All right. It's the same way with, poll question voting. You can say one thing and do another. But okay. But if you're going to text us, if you're going to enter into the Twitch conversation, well, then, maybe we won't give you the benefit of the doubt. That's all we're saying. But, Mark, this crazy football didn't start on Sunday.
It did not. It kind of went all weekend long, and game day showed up in Boone, North Carolina.
Where they started partying on Thursday.
Right. We're camping out on Friday, and I had to laugh when, they go through it, and Desmond Howard played the foil so well, being the Michigan guy and getting crap from all the App State people, and they start asking, what's going to be the game? Where's the letdown game? And he doesn't waste a nanosecond, because he did pick A&M to go to the playoff. And he says, well, the letdown game is going to be right here. Game day's here. They just got done beating an A&M, and Troy's coming, and it's going to be a tough game. And damned if Troy doesn't give them the game of all games.
Should have won. Had them beat.
Had them. And that takes us right to our Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Three-man rush. Chase going to step up in the pocket. Sets. Throws high into the air. It's up for grabs. It is juggled. Part two! Oh, they did it! Give up on this! Oh my gosh! Don't you do it, baby! Don't you give up on these Mountaineers, baby! Yes, sir! Oh my gosh! Yes, sir!
It was only late last week that Miller and Moulton talked about when the great play happens, that the analyst needs to let the play-by-play guy finish the play.
And shut the blank up.
I'm guessing you could all, especially since you know the outcome, but App State hit the 50-yard line Hail Mary. They were down 2. They would have lost, and they won. Don't give up on those Mountaineers, baby. But yeah, that's how it sounded on the Appalachian State Radio Network. Now,
worth watching the booth cam to see these three yahoos going just bat blank crazy.
He catches the ball on the 5-yard line, and you don't know what happens after that.
Right. They actually needed a couple of guys to just kind of stand in the way of Troy defenders so that, he caught it on the hash. He had to run around towards the pylon to get in and score. But you're just going to have to make that up in your mind, however, because, well, Woo! We did it! Woo! That's kind of how it sounded.
Yeah, make your ears bleed.
That's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Clutch Vodka.
Oh, Clutch Vodka. Wah! Woo!
Sounds like they were all drinking lots of it during that play, or at least they were after that play. There is no doubt that Boone went through some vodka Saturday night. And I'm guessing they went through a little Clutch Vodka at Seaside and Bonita, where they have those Dolphin watch parties for that game, although I don't know how many people stuck around for the second half.
Well, with the Clutch Vodka, they just kept drinking. Then they were drinking for a different reason.
Then they didn't even remember whether or not the Dolphins won. Let's just hope they took an Uber home. Clutch Vodka play of the day. Clutch Vodka, be on the lookout for it, and Total Wine Source coming soon. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. Back with more in a moment. JP Shadrick and Orlando Alzugaray in the 8 o'clock hour on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So, Davidu, we have this calendar. Well, let me rephrase that. My wife has a calendar. And, she puts everything that the family is doing on the calendar. I don't ever look at the calendar. And she left for the weekend on Friday. I found out about this on Thursday and really forgot about it for the Friday show. So all the plans I had made were done because I was in charge of the daughter for the entire weekend. If I'd have looked at the calendar, I would have known this because it was clearly marked on there. I didn't notice.
Klecko, Nebraska is not interested in Urban, and Urban is not interested in Nebraska.
Unless the TD Waterhouse guy is going to spend that kind of money and say you've got to hire him.
Correct.
That's the only caveat in today's sports.
Right. But
like I was left night, a buddy texted me during the game that Mel Tucker's a fraud. And I'm like, because they gave him $9 million. Well, they didn't give him $9 million. 2 boosters gave him $9 million.
right.
Not his fault that they paid him.
Right.
Now, I will say at some point, the guy that's supposed to be able to coach defense, I'd like to see some defense. Because they don't have any. But that's just a me thing. I don't RCB. Do you, David? The severity of Travis's injury at FSU?
No, I don't.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. It's a great little spot. They got good food there. I know they've got live music on weekends occasionally.
Tyreek was in the locker room with cramps. He comes back, and the first catch that he makes is a freaking 60-yard touchdown.
Well, I mean, you got an IV.
I think we need to start talking about him and Waddle being like a top 5 wide receiver duo in the NFL.
Why wouldn't you talk about he and Hill? Oh, maybe the two of them? Well, they are.
Tyreek and Jalen, yeah. 100%. One of, if not the best, duos.
There is no word on Jordan Travis's injury. My guess is because Norvell hasn't spoken about it yet. I'm sure they're still reevaluating.
The Colts have entered the fourth quarter of their 2 games this year, trailing by a combined 44-3.
Right. They're lucky to be 0-1-1.
Since opening day 2020, Jags are 3-2 against Indianapolis, 2-28 against everyone else.
Right.
Wait, JP's not on now. 8:35, 8:38, right?
Yeah, 8.
Correct.
Both are in the 8.
Okay, yeah, because you kind of made it sound like.
No, I said in the 8 o'clock hour.
Oh, gotcha. My bad.
Just getting to break.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that comment that you said in the starting 5 about how, like, it's a rule for the Packers to beat the Bears. I think it's a rule for the Jags to beat the Colts in Jacksonville. I mean,
it was a rule that none of us saw passed, but I think you're onto something. Urban would never go to Auburn. Auburn's too messed up.
coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our poll question, after yesterday's 6-touchdown performance, so what's your verdict on Tua now? Do you believe in him, yay or nay? That's our poll question. We're not giving you the out. We didn't give you the, well, you know, I'm almost there. I need to see a little more. No, you got to vote. It's a 2-candidate race. There's no write-in. That's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com. Vote accordingly.
70% of you right now saying you're believing in Tua.
Yeah, that's early returns from Tua-friendly precincts. You know, the panhandle hasn't come in yet.
Yeah, one of the few times Miami-Dade's actually reported early.
Right. Well, early voting, you know, there are more people there, so that voting was on the books. Right.
Mark, I am so happy that you just made that comment.
You know, north of I-4, you know, those precincts are going to come in any moment now. This race is going to tighten up tremendously. Do some quick hitters here before, Orlando Alzugaray joins us at the top of the hour, at which point it's just going to be a Tua fest for 12 minutes. It's just, we're going to bathe in it.
Yep.
So, first off, got to give the Bucs as much credit as we're giving the Dolphins and Jags. We got to give the Bucs, right? I mean, come on.
Absolutely. This was a regular season team they couldn't beat, and they went in and they beat them at their game.
Right, at their
They
place.
were better defensively.
Yep.
They out-physicaled them. They won the fight. I know you're not supposed to say that. This was a lot like a hockey game. Sometimes the two players get into it, and it's not the two heavyweights that get into it. It's two middleweights that get into it. And they get into a really good scrap, and it turns things around. They're both tossed for the game. But they won the game. They played better defense. They won the fight, David.
And, Mark, I'm glad you brought that up because that brings us back to what Mike Evans was seen, if you could read his lips, saying to the officials as he was being thrown out, in which he said, it's Tom Brady, man. What am I supposed to do? Because now people are making a big deal with the story yesterday that apparently Brady's going to take Wednesdays off the rest of the year.
It's a rest day, David.
Well, and Wednesday is usually first big practice day. Monday they come in and, they just get worked on a little bit, taping, a little video. Tuesday's an off day. Wednesday, first practice. Tom's going to take Wednesdays off. I think what Mike Evans said is exactly why this is not a big deal. Like David Sampson, we're going to have on tomorrow. He thinks this is going to cause division on the Bucs. You can't have somebody with their own rules, this, that, and the other thing. No, actually, you can. He's Tom Brady. And I think this team knows, without him, we don't have a chance to win a championship. I mean, with Blaine Gabbert, we could, probably make the playoffs. But with that guy, we can win a Super Bowl. So if he wants to take Wednesdays off, you know what? Good for Tom.
He's been in the league longer than some of you have been alive.
Yeah.
He's earned a Wednesday off.
He came back, by the way. We weren't going to have him Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. He came back. If he wants Wednesday off, fine.
They want to take the kids to Legoland every Wednesday. You deal with it.
Right. If he wants to play golf and he wants me to take the kids to and from school and pack their lunch, I'll do it. So
he's 46 years old.
45. Come on now. Us, when you get to a certain age, Felipe, don't make us older than we are. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. At your age, you want people to add years to your thing, not us. Not us.
We prefer to take a couple away.
Right. So that's one thing. Should we be concerned that the Gators barely beat South Florida? And by the way, hats off to South Florida. Honestly, we've been saying the roster's a lot better. We think that that's potentially a bowl team this year. And it's the first really good effort against a good opponent under Jeff Scott. Way to go. Nearly pulled it off. Outplayed the Gators. Lost by 3. Should we be concerned about Florida?
I'm hoping that they just sleptwalk through that, but they gave up a bunch of yards on the ground. I mean, South Florida ran through them like it was nothing.
Well, Mark, that's the third team to kind of handle that defensive line up front. Utah wasn't exactly stopped, and Kentucky wasn't exactly stopped in the second half. I'm not sure that there's a lot up front after about the first 30 plays.
This is where the depth is showing, and now going to Tennessee on Saturday, this is going to be tough for the Gators. I'm totally with you, David, in the fact that, look, sometimes you sleepwalk through a game and you make mistakes. And there's just things that happen. But when you start diving into the numbers and you see how effectively South Florida ran the ball against Florida, that's my biggest area of concern. That's what I took from the box score, David, if you know what I mean.
Did you see the opening line for the Gators Vols game? Did you see it?
Did not.
10. When is the last time? It's got to be pre-Spurrier. The last time Tennessee was a 10-point favorite against Florida. It's got to be the 80s. Unbelievable. I saw that line. It takes your breath away. You're like, I mean, Tennessee's beaten Florida, 2-3 times in 15 years? Right. So just throwing that out there. By the way, game day going to Knoxville. They haven't been there in 6 years.
Right.
I'm just going to throw this out there, make as much fun of me as you want. Did game day miss an opportunity? 3-0 Dukes playing 3-0 Kansas.
Let's just take a quick pause, everybody. I'm going to make David go to the back room and pee in a cup.
Yeah.
And then we'll get right back to the show. It's nothing I want to alarm anybody about. I'll give the text lines out. I'll jibber jabber about this and the other. David can send that into the labs, and then we'll figure out what the hell he's on right now.
Okay.
David,
Duke at Kansas. What?
David, what sport are you referring to?
No. Football.
Hey, Bill is free.
Football.
February?
Fran Fraschilla may be the guest picker, but he is not broadcasting the game. I just thought it was a goal. I mean, they went to Boone, North Carolina last week. I just thought it was an opportunity to have a little fun. You know, you figure I'm not even sure where the game is, to be honest with you. I think it's at Kansas, but I just figured they'd probably get a great crowd and the kids would go nuts because they know this is the only time they're going to be here while they're in school.
That's all right. They haven't been in Knoxville in a long time. They're going to get a big crowd there.
Yes, 6 years since they've been in Knoxville. That is true. Got to say it again. Terrific win for the Noles on Friday. It was every bit the gutsy win that the Bucs had in New Orleans, and in fact, it was gutsier because they did it shorthanded. Their quarterback gets knocked out. Their left offensive tackle gets knocked out. Their best defensive player, they lose another top performer. They lost 4 of probably their 7 best players and most important players on the team. And on the road, trailing, the backup quarterback comes in and trailing in the second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter, and they come from behind and get a W, and once again making a big play late to seal the win. Hats off to Norville. The injuries may catch up to them, Mark. The schedule in October is tough. This still may be a 7-5 team at the end of the year, but I think against LSU and against Louisville, they've shown program-wise, they're different.
1-2 different ways. Bit of a slugfest with LSU. This game they were able to score some points with, so I thought it was a terrific win for the Noles, but as you said, they lost 4 players, and we'll find out more probably later today what the status is on all of these guys, but they're getting to the meat of their schedule now, and we already knew that they were a thin roster, so this is going to be difficult for the Noles to get through this stretch if these injuries have any severity to them.
Right. They could be 4-0 going into October, and they might be an underdog in every game they play in October, too. So just keep that in mind. But I do think that these, the culture that every coach talks about changing, I do think that Norville and the players have shown they're different in the room now than they've been the last, really since Jimbo's final year. So that's 4 or 5 years ago.
If you made it up till 1 a.m. to watch the Canes and A&M, a couple of opportunities for the Canes to get drives in the fourth quarter. They couldn't muster up anything. That receiver being out, David, really affected them. They just offensively had nothing for A&M, who was very good on the defensive line and dominated the line of scrimmage. Miami just couldn't do much.
Well, they couldn't make the big plays because in the second half they moved the ball, but they had nobody that could get a chunk play, Mark. And so A&M was playing tight coverage every yard they had to earn. They got 26 first downs, I think. They're the only team this century to have that many first downs and not score a touchdown in a college football game, but they couldn't make a big play. And as you were watching the game, I, at least, Mark, while watching the game, at no point in time thought that Miami was going to make the big play and be able to tie the game and threaten A&M. I just didn't think they had it in them. I'll say this, though. I'm sorry, Felipe. Van Dyke threw some really good passes. His backup receivers need to learn how to catch the ball.
How many people needed to be out for the Aggies for the Canes to win? Because they lost 2 key defensive players in the first quarter for targeting. And then they had 4 other players suspended that didn't play, and the Canes still couldn't score.
Receivers couldn't get separation.
No.
Gosh.
At the end of the day, they could move the ball between the 20s a little bit, but they couldn't get separation. When quarters got tight, there was no openings for Miami. Tough.
Thank heavens the Dolphins won yesterday.
But I'll say this, Felipe, if you think about it, and I know we in the media and fans don't always do this, but A&M should beat Miami. Think of the head start they've had in recruiting. Their roster should be the far deeper roster that they can withstand an injury or suspensions or targeting. I mean, come on now. I mean, Jimbo's 2-3 years ahead of Cristobal.
Is this Jimbo's 4th year at A&M?
Boys, 2017 was his last year, so actually it's his 5th.
Yeah, I mean, that does make sense.
So, and I thought you saw it, as Mark pointed out, the one really good difference-making wide receiver Miami had, injured. He's going to miss about a month. They may struggle during that time.
You know, they had a true freshman that was lost. I think Citizens was named, lost in camp, that they thought was a game breaker. So you can't lose guys that they think are game-breaking talents because they just don't have that many of them right now. They do have an elite quarterback.
Yes,
Yeah, he can play.
He can throw the ball. They just
He can play.
they call him Tyler Van Dimes.
well,
You got to win some games to get nicknames. I'm sorry.
yes, there's no doubt. But tough night for the Canes. Tough night for the Gators, but they get it done. Great win for the Noles. And let's give it up for UCF with playing a team with a pulse, going on the road and dominating.
Yep. And those of us who bet them against Louisville going, where the hell was that? Huh, Gus? You're killing me, Gus. By the way, Gus, I was at Auburn on Saturday. They'd take you back yesterday. And just so you know, it's kind of like all the people, the bad stuff they said about Tua. Yeah. Just if we could push that to the side, all that stuff they said about you, Gus, and your family and the whole deal, they'd take you back. They would yesterday. Did you see, by the way, it looked like Herm Edwards got fired walking off the field? Did you see the video?
Doubt. I watched it. I've watched it 4 or 5. I mean, I pulled a Moulton. I was breaking that video down. I almost did whoever that guy that does the 60-second films. I almost made my own 60-second film of what the dialogue was because it looked like he fired him and Herm didn't catch it the first time and leaned in a second time and said, "Oh, okay, I'm gone." I mean, he looked like he took it really well.
Well, I will say the guy who fired him is one of his best friends in the world, is his former agent. He's now the AD who hired him. I mean, if you're going to get fired, that's who you get fired. But, yeah, I thought it was Jeremy Foley and Ron Zook all over again.
No doubt about it. Well, that's what happens when they lose to Eastern Michigan, for crying out loud.
At home, yes. Mm-hmm. 30-21, a 2-score loss at home to Eastern Michigan. Hello.
And I'm telling you right now, while App State beating A&M is a huge upset because it's A&M and it's the SEC, Eastern Michigan winning at Arizona State is as big of an upset. They got paid their mill and a half to get that W.
Ooh, I just watched that video. Some handshakes, some pats on the side, and some shrugs.
So, I mean, what do you figure? A mill for that game for Eastern Michigan? Mill and a half? I mean, similar to what App State got for beating A&M?
I got to look that up, but yeah, I'm guessing that's a 7-figure payday right there.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
But Mark, that's your sleeper job. That's the place that you think. And think about it. They could dominate the Pac-12 now going forward. They can get players there.
They need their John Ruiz. It's all they need, and it can get done. I'm telling you, right? I've always thought that market size, that school, the conference obviously is going to get easier. I thought Herb had it going because he had the one assistant that ended up cheating so much they had to fire. Well, now cheating's okay.
Right. Right. $1.5 million, by the way. I just looked it up.
Orlando Alzugaray. We will talk Tua on the other side. You can count on it right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com.
If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, Yins are not just co-eds, but what do they have? The biggest online program in all, biggest undergraduate online program of public universities. I mean, they have over 100,000 students, I think, in their online program. They have a huge undergrad on campus enrollment. I mean, there's money at Arizona State. And they're actually one of the 4 best broadcasting schools in the country.
Yeah, what? Missouri and the Cuse?
Northwestern and Syracuse. Yeah. And then Arizona State.
Cronkite School of Journalism, right?
Exactly.
He's kind of a big deal.
Used to be.
Well, I mean, sure. Now the fact that he's dead.
Right. That hurts his
It's bad for street cred.
it hurts his influence. It does. But then again, who knows? In the Pac-12, maybe it adds to your luster.
You know, for how many hypothetical situations we proposed of a season where Jimmy Garoppolo is not on the Niners, it's kind of crazy to think that he is going to be a Niner for the rest of the season.
And he's going to lead them to a division title and a run in the playoffs.
Yep. Just like last year.
David, I know you can't see the Facebook comments, or maybe you can. Can you see them today? With the way this setup is?
I can see Chris's Facebook.
Okay, yeah, then you
comment.
can't see the Facebook because you can't when you're sitting next to me. That's right. That's just that. There it is.
I understand.
Then you know what? Sit on the sidelines and don't enjoy it.
But Chris, let me ask you this. You can still believe in your quarterback and the team can come up short. You know, like if you're a Chargers fan, you believe in Herbert. Even though the Bengals are 0-2, Bengals fans believe in Burrow. I mean, our question is just about Tua.
Isn't it funny that there's people that believe Burrow's better than Lamar? That's funny. That's cute.
Tell you what, if you're running a team, I'm sorry, I'd give him the fully guaranteed contract. I would. I know, Chris. It's, you know what? It's like when you meet the right one and you think you're pretty sure she's the right one, but you've been through the meat grinder a few times and you're like, oh man, maybe I'm just going to have to, you know, I don't know. Just
10
dig
seconds.
a little deeper. I get you, Chris. I feel you. Call Orlando. We don't have much time.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Just like that, it is the 8 o'clock hour on a fast-moving Monday, as you would expect, after so much to talk about from a great football weekend. And, oh, by the way, Aaron Judge had 2 more homers. He's at 59, and he's 1 point back for the Triple Crown. That's just a little something thrown out there. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Hoping to catch up with Orlando Alzugaray coming up here in a moment. JP Shadrick will join us in about 35 minutes' time. Don't want to forget about the northeast corner of the state, where that's your first place, Jacksonville Jaguars. At this moment in time, by the way, all 3 in-state NFL teams are in first place. But, you know, there are days and there are times, Mark, in which a man just deserves his due. And when you have been taking it the way Orlando Alzugaray, you know, the Big O, has been taking it for the last 2+ years, as a defender of all things Dolphins, as a defender of Tua, all off season, being berated by his own listeners on his live podcast show every day, which you can find everywhere, and follow Orlando at Big O Show on Twitter. And when Tua channels his inner Dan Marino, we have to let Orlando crow for 10 minutes on Miller and Moulton. How you doing, big fella?
I'm doing good. I'm really, really happy for the Dolphin Nation. I've always thought they've had a quarterback. It's just one of those things. I tried to explain to people last year that it was all coaching and the atmosphere around him. And sure enough, that's what's gone on. And now you got a coach that believes in him. You brought some talent around him, and he's doing the same thing he did at every level he's ever been at. And he'll be just fine. It's just people. Listen, the good thing is I'm talking to 2 guys that, you know, you're in my age bracket. And while it's bad to be old because things start falling off on you and you don't know, things aren't working the same way. The one good thing old people have is it's called perspective. And in today's world, fantasy football and bad information has just gotten out there. And so people are like parrots, and they repeat the same thing over, and they think every quarterback is supposed to be 6'5" and throw it out of the stadium. And yet nobody remembers Bob Greasy, Fran Tarkenton, Joe Montana, the Drew Brees, who just retired. These are all guys, none of them could throw it out of the building. These are all guys, none of them could throw a 30-yard strike with a guy or 2 draped on them, like a Josh Allen you'll watch tonight, like a Ben Roethlisberger, or maybe the choker Justin Herbert that can do that or something like that. None of those guys are going to run out of plays and go gain 50 yards for you because none of them were those kind of athletes. But they were all smart. They were all accurate. They all had ball placement. They all had anticipatory skills. And that's what made those guys great, some of them Hall of Famers and some of them champions. Tua has the same characteristics as those guys. But because we live in this fantasy world of fantasy football and all this, if your quarterback is not a big athlete that can run like a deer and throw it out of the stadium, then that's the only way you can be a quarterback. And sure, let's go talk to Vince Young. How did that work out? You know, we can go over all these guys that had these big arms. And look, Justin Herbert's one of those guys. He's never won anything. And yet, you know, I had half of Dolphin Nation, oh, they should have picked Justin Herbert. And I say, yeah, Justin Herbert is a much better talent, not a better quarterback. And that's the problem that we have with Tua and the understanding of what a quarterback is. And sadly, we have a large portion of our society that is only defined by this incredible athlete has to be the quarterback. And actually, that's just not the case. And he's going to prove it again, just like Breeze did, just like Greasy, just like Montana. These kind of guys have to adjust to this level. Because they're using smarts, because they're using anticipatory skills, they have to adjust to the game speed at this level. It took Breeze into his 4th year to figure it out, okay? And this kid hasn't had any help in his first 2 years, and yet last year he was the least sacked quarterback in the NFL with no line and no running game. That tells you all you need to know that he can be a quarterback in this league. Give him some blocking, give him a running game, which he still doesn't have yet, and give him a coach and some weapons, and he'll be fine. And that's exactly what you saw yesterday. And so for me, it's kind of coming full circle, and I hope people learn that quarterbacks come in all shapes and all sizes.
Well, and so do coaches, Orlando, because you brought that up. Obviously, they're down 35-14 in that game, and things look bleak. But and maybe in years past it would have, but this is, you mentioned it in your answer there, Orlando. This is a coach that believes in the quarterback. And to me, that is all the difference in the world, because they never played like a team that was defeated yesterday, even though they were down 3 scores.
Amen. Hey, listen, every relationship takes nurturing. I don't care if it's a plant. I don't care if it's your dog. I don't care if it's your son or daughter. If you don't nurture any relationship, it's not going to work. Well, Brian Flores never wanted the kid. As I broke, and told everybody he wanted somebody else. And I wasn't able to release the name, but finally Omar figured it out, and it was Jordan Love. And so you had a coach that was pretty much scheming against the quarterback. I mean, at one point last season, he thought he could, that same Baltimore game, he thought he could win it with, Jacoby Brissett, which is like an absolute joke. And that's what's happened here. And so now you got a guy that believes in him and says, oh, I know what kind of quarterback you are. I'll design the offense for a quarterback like you. And then that's exactly what he's doing. And now you've got belief from the players because the coach believes in you, and so there were just too many narratives. Oh, Tua's lazy. He doesn't work hard enough. Are you kidding me, dude? He played for Saban. Oh, he can't take flow. He played for Saban. What is wrong with you? It's just way too many narratives were created for this young man when he's completely the polar opposite of the narratives that some people were creating. And so now you're right. You got a perfect relationship. You got people that believe in each other, and now they can go out there and be themselves and go out and play the game. And you don't have all the politics that were involved in all of this. You got 2 clown-ass owners trying to find, Tom Brady. You got an idiot coach going up against the people that hired him, and because he lost the battle for Tua, he now wants to go get Watson. The guy that says he's all about integrity wants to get Watson. The guy that worked for 16 years with Belichick says he didn't want to tank. I mean, it just, the contradiction just drives me crazy. And so this kid went through hell for 2 years. Now he's in heaven, kind of like that rock song. You got to go through hell before you get to heaven. Well, that's exactly what happened with Tua. He had to go through hell before he got to heaven. And now he's got somebody that believes in him, and the kid now can, settle down and do his thing. And hopefully we'll see a lot more of this down the line.
Orlando Alzugaray, host of the Big O radio show, podcasted around the world. He usually starts at late mornings, sometimes early afternoons. And this time of year, he's pretty much a 7-day-a-week guy. Follow him on Twitter at Big O Show. All right, we've got about 4 minutes, Orlando. Anything you saw yesterday that concerns you? They got the Bills coming up in 6 days.
Well, no, I mean, listen, it's not a matter of concern. They're a team that's developing, and they've got to figure things out. Obviously, the offensive line has still got to get better at running the ball. And in a game like Buffalo, it would be nice, but it's not an easy thing. And they're only in game 3. And I don't expect this offense to be clicking till midway through the season. what they did yesterday was just absolutely fantastic. But, you made big mistakes yesterday, allowing Lamar with the long run, allowing the special teams touchdown, some of the big plays, X. So I'd like to see them get a little more physical with Buffalo next week. That's what I would like to see. But I mean, right now, there's nothing to complain about if you're a Dolphins fan. Nothing's perfect, but think about this: the Dolphins haven't played a perfect game, and they're 2-0. The Dolphins haven't really gotten their running game going. And as I told Dolphin fans, Tua and company have exercised the demon. They're now 4-0 against Belichick, undefeated. That's done. They used to get punched in the mouth all the time by the Ravens. Well, guess what? They beat them at home last year, and now they beat them on the road this year. So that demon's been exercised, and that's kind of what's going on right now. You're watching a team that's starting to grow and feel itself. And yesterday's win on the road is going to do so much for confidence, because once again, when the crap hits the fan and adversity hits, you're going to feel good about it because we've been here, we've done it before. So that's the good thing about yesterday. They've got a lot of things to work on, guys. They're not even far from being a finished product. It was nice to see Gesicki get involved a little bit more. But remember, Byron Jones is not even there yet. So wait till they get back their other starting corner, and that'll make that secondary even more, and that front seven even more dangerous as it goes. So Josh Boyer had a terrible first half. He and his group cannot do that again in the first half. So there's a lot of things to clean up, but at this point, at 2-0, and there's only a few undefeated teams already 2 weeks into the season, I think you got to be really, really happy. And I hope those of you out there that were, non-believers, you're starting to support the quarterback that you say you root for that team. So I hope you start doing that, because he deserves, for people to root for him.
All right, Big O, 30 seconds. Let people know what they can get today and where they can get you.
Every day we're live. A Big O radio show is YouTube. We're live every day on YouTube. We've got about 16 exclusive insiders here in South Florida. We've got all the top writers that cover all the local teams. They're all exclusive to our platform. They can't be on any local radio station. So we do it every day, 3 to 4 hours a day. We do a Canes pre- and post-game show, a Dolphins pre- and post-game show. So when it comes to South Florida sports, I don't know if there's another platform that comes even close to us, or even radio stations, since they're running out of money too. So we are crushing the competition. Appreciate it if you come on board. Big O radio show on all platforms, and you can follow us on Twitter at Big O Show. Thank you, fellas. Appreciate you guys.
Orlando, we appreciate you. Have a great one. Have a good show today. I know it will be. Orlando Alzugaray, the Big O Show, daily on YouTube. Check him out. Miller and Moulton. We'll digest what he said, talk a little more Dolphins, and JP Shadrick in about 25 minutes to talk about the Jags' big win right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Boy, oh boy, all I'm thinking about watching football yesterday, David, is your comments about trying to trick teams. That's all teams try to do on the goal line now. Have you noticed it?
I hate it.
I don't know how much red zone you watched yesterday. I don't know what you were watching.
No, I couldn't see any red zone yesterday. Klecko, I got to admit, there's a little bit of bias from us towards the Big O for this reason. I mean, you do this, you can't always be right doing this for a living. It's not about being right. But, like us, who we've been let go twice in our home market, and the two of us have been let go in other things that we've done as well. The Big O's been let go by everybody in Miami. And it would have been real easy for his career to be over. And Big O went to work literally out of his home and has built up that radio show where I think he's right. I mean, if you're into South Florida sports, that's the place to go. He's opinionated. He tries to back it up with facts. He can be entertaining, talking about music and politics and what have you. He can also be very nitty gritty. I mean, this is a guy who loves going to the Senior Bowl and combines even, loves it, used to broadcast live. I think he did 20 years at the Senior Bowl. I mean, think about that.
I think he still goes.
Or I think he tries to. I don't know if he's gone in the last few years.
With COVID and his show and all that, but yeah.
But so we have a lot of respect for him because he's done it the hard way.
Yeah.
Wow. Think about how big Bills at Dolphins Sunday. Holy blank.
Is that going to get the 425 treatment? Or do they already have that determined?
I think it's a 1.
Dolphins never play at 4.
It's because they haven't been good, Felipe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I know.
It's 1:00. Oh, it's a Fox because Packers Bucks are the Fox game. It's a Fox. That's the main reason.
Boy, when it's if you've lived in the state of Florida and outside of Miami and Tampa, and you've put up with some really bad Sunday lineups for a long time. You've got Bills, Dolphins at 1 and Bucks, Packers at 420.
Probably going to give us Ravens, Patriots as your other game too. Maybe Chiefs, Colts. I'm just kind of looking at the. Or no. Fox will have it. No, we'll get. You know what we'll get? We'll get Lions, Vikings. Oh, if they're going to jam Saints, Panthers down our throat, I bet.
Oh, God, that'll be hard. If you're the local affiliate,
Here
you gotta
we'll
make
get.
a phone
I bet
call.
you down here we'll get Lions, Vikings.
You should.
We won't. Tampa will get Saints, Carolina, because they usually split that one.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
A tip of the cap to the first place Jacksonville Jaguars with JP Shadrick in about 20 minutes time. But a huge day, arguably the biggest regular season win for the Dolphins this century, because it's the type of win against a quality team on the road in which, if you're a fan, even though you might lose next week at home to Buffalo, they got your number. They're better than you until proven otherwise. You got a bunch of tough games on the schedule. But, Mark, if you were a Dolph fan and you were still thinking we're pretty good, but we're not good enough, we're like we've been the last 2 years, 10-6, missed the playoffs, 9-8, missed the playoffs, and you think you're still in that area code, isn't yesterday the one that finally makes you run out and cannonball into the deep end and go, damn it, we're good?
Yes. It's the college, what was it, King Street and Boone that they were showing all the folks running out onto after they beat A&M. But yesterday was a win that the Dolph fan ran out of their house or their condo and just kind of, woo, one of those moments, because they haven't had one. Not in a spot. And still early in the season's a big spot. There's still hope everywhere.
And yes, there are teams that start 2-0 and 3-0 every year that don't amount to much. Denver was 2-0 last year. Carolina was 3-0 last year. But remember, we're talking about a team that has actually had back-to-back winning seasons. Schedule's challenging. It is the AFC. There's not a lot of separation. But very quickly, Mark, Carolina, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Houston, the Raiders. Those are your 0-2 teams. Cincinnati and Vegas both made the playoffs last year, right?
Cincinnati and Vegas, both 0-2.
Tennessee's pending tonight, and they're a 10-point dog at Buffalo. So they may join the party and have 6 0-2 teams, and the Colts are 0-1-1, and quite frankly, they should be 0-2. They're lucky. And Mark, how many 2-0 teams do we have? We have the Giants. We have the winner of Minnesota, Philly. We have Miami. We have Kansas City. And if Buffalo does what they're supposed to do tonight, we have Buffalo, which means we'll have 2 and Tampa Bay. 3 2-0 teams in the NFC, and one of them's the Giants. Let's get real.
Right.
Okay. And then if Buffalo does what they're supposed to do tonight, okay, we'll have 3 in the AFC, and one of them's your Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1. Come on, you're singing it.
I'm tapping
You
it,
are.
though.
How many of you have been singing it?
I'm bobbing. I never have rooted for the Dolphins in my life, David. I never have. I'm not a Dolph fan. I like Tua. I like this team. I was blatantly rooting on the couch. I don't know what you know how just a moment comes over as they start coming back. I was rooting for Tua, and I was rooting because I picked him to win, and I was rooting for this show. You and I have talked the longest time to have both the Bucs and the Dolphins be good, and the Jags right now look like they might have a little something going on. Being on the Florida Sports Network, we're excited about that. The alternative sucks.
I mean, this hasn't happened in over 20 years. We didn't do a show together the last time these three teams had a pulse at the same time. I mean, damn. And you and I both like Lamar too. That had to be tough for you. You're a Lamar guy.
I'm a Lamar. He was
both
amazing.
had the Ravens, right, winning the division, and deep down we kind of want to be right on our picks. So, that had to be a tough realization there when all of a sudden you are blatantly rooting out loud for Tua and the Dolphins.
It's why, and I know we're talking about 14, but it's why what the Browns did yesterday is just such a humongous loss. And I'm telling you, if I'm the Browns today, I am redoing the field and getting that damn cartoon character, Elf, off of the damn center field, the 50-yard line logo. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. What is that? Is there a Browns fan out there that watched their team play yesterday and saw the Keebler Elf at midfield and said, ooh, we've got him now. Now we're mean. Now we're tough.
I think they're trying to distract people from the fact that they, went out and got Deshaun as their quarterback. They're trying to be, I don't know, family friendly. I don't know. To review, the Browns had a 2-touchdown lead, although they did miss the extra point on that second touchdown
Correct.
with a minute 55 to go. The Jets had no timeouts, and they were trailing by 13. And they had Joe Flacco, by the way, who's not 27 years old anymore as their quarterback. The Jets threw a 66-yard touchdown to cut it to 6. But remember, they have no timeouts, so they have to recover the onside kick. And with the rule changes, there's like 4 onside kicks that get recovered a year. Yes, the Jets recovered the onside kick and then proceeded to march down the field nearly 60 yards. And Flacco threw another touchdown pass with about 22 seconds to go. So they scored 2 touchdowns in a minute. And they won. And teams in their position in the last 21 years were 0 for 2,229.
Way to go, Cleveland. Way to go, Cleveland.
Would have had a 1-game lead in the division. And remember,
they're hosting Pittsburgh on Thursday, and Pittsburgh's a grease fire. They couldn't score in an 11-on-0 drill right now, I don't think, David.
Well, both the Steelers and the Bears, if left alone on the field, would have trouble scoring 17 points. Both teams have had less than 300 yards. In fact, I think both teams have had less than 250 in regulation in both their first 2 games. Justin Fields has completed 15 passes on the season, by the way, in Chicago. On the season. Tua might have completed that in the fourth quarter.
I was going to say that's close to what Tua completed yesterday in the fourth quarter, where I think he was 11 of 14 in the fourth quarter.
So, yeah, there were some glorious wins. Hey, give it up to the Patriots, all right? 2 road games to start against 2, teams with winning records from a year ago. They start 1-1. Good for them. San Francisco and Green Bay right the ship as we expected. Rams and Denver weren't impressive, but they got their W's at home against bad teams. Got to start getting worried about Cincinnati. 7-point favorite, and they did not look good in losing yesterday at all. And good for Cooper Rush and the Cowboys, baby, because, the Eagles could have pulled away in that division quickly. So good for them. They now go to the Giants. Hell, they can beat the Giants with a backup quarterback. Their roster's superior to the Giants. So good win for Dallas yesterday, who showed a lot on defense, by the way. A lot.
They were tough. I mean, they manhandled Cincinnati defensively in that game. And the Bengals, who spent all the money and all the resources trying to fortify their offensive line, Joe Burrow has been sacked,
14 times.
14 times now in two games.
Right. Not a month.
Holy cow.
Right. Are you saying that's bad, Mark? Are you trying to imply that that's bad? I'm just going to go out on a limb. Devontae Adams had 2 catches for 12 yards yesterday. What the? Not that Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback makes a difference or anything, but Devontae Adams had 2 catches for 12 yards. He really had 1 catch.
Buddy thrown to him. He's supposed to be getting every pass thrown to him right now, David.
He was targeted 7 times. What the heck? JP Shadrick. Talking about the first place Jags next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
On the wagon. Come on now. Was I upset that we drafted Tua on draft night? Of course. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I wanted Justin Herbert. I made that clear. But I came to the realization that what we had was what we had. And I said, you know what? Screw it.
Jimmy Bird, the man crush that Romo has on Cooper Rush. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's a little subplot to that. Remember, who was it who took Romo's job? Where is it that Romo lives? And he has to hear all the love that Dak gets, and that Dak's the leader that Romo never was, and what have you, which, by the way, is true. But I think there's a little... I think Tony has no trouble trying to bring Dak down a notch. That's just how I kind of look at it from afar. Because then if Cooper goes in and wins games and elevates the Cowboys to a certain level, and Dak comes in and doesn't,
David, did you happen to see, and I doubt you did because you were working, did you see how Syracuse won?
I didn't.
So
I did.
Purdue scores late to go up. Great drive, touchdown. Kid gets really jacked up about scoring, talking a lot of shit. I mean, flat out. He's tight end. So he's the edge guy on the extra point. Gets into it with somebody, gets shoved, starts yipping right in the guy's face. They throw a flag, call it unsportsmanlike.
Moving back 15 on the
No.
kickoff.
The coach the special teams coach goes ballistic on the sidelines. They give him 15 more.
Oh, wow. So now they're
kick
kicking off.
from the 10 because it's half the distance on the next one.
Right.
Syracuse comes down, scores, and wins. I mean, put it this way. If you hear the Purdue special team coach got fired today, it shouldn't be a big surprise.
Well, the Nebraska defense coordinator got fired. All I know is I saw this the first time I saw the score on Saturday, it was 49-7. And then I looked up the fact that Nebraska actually scored first. They were chanting, "We want Urban" at the game because, of course, Urban and Fox were there.
How pathetic.
Klecko, I'll say this. That is a good young roster. And they play at Michigan in 3 weeks. They get Minnesota, Michigan State, and Ohio State all at home this year. Now, I'm not saying they're winning the Big Ten East. But that October 15th Penn State at Michigan game, that's a big game. Because that's probably each team's toughest game before they play Ohio State. But that Penn State roster,
The Patriots Ravens is going to be on Fox.
I know.
The world
I
is
hate
not
that.
the same place
No,
anymore.
I hate it. But to be blunt, that's CBS complaining that the Fox is the bigger markets and their teams have bigger fan bases, and therefore that's why they get better ratings than us. And if we're going to pay about the same amount of money for games, we need to have a more balanced schedule. And finally, the NFL gave into that. Klecko, I got to be honest. First off, Gary catches heat just for showing up for work. No, he does. I mean, so the whole, no offense.
He's on hold more.
That's crap.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Hey, it hasn't happened a lot in the last 10, 12 years. So when it happens, we reached out and said, hey, JP Shadrick, Jags Radio Network, Westwood One and Touchdown Radio Network play-by-play. Can you give us a few minutes while the Jags are still in first? And he went, seriously? I worked my off all weekend. You're forcing me to get up at this hour? And we said, yeah, it's part of our charm. So JP Shadrick joins us. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. How are you? Good morning.
JP, your team's in first place.
It's just an old first place. No big deal. We've been there before. It's, a long season. Enjoy it, right? It's week 2. Yeah, it's early, but come on now. I mean, this team's won 4 games over 2 years. They've had, 5? This is the 6th head coach I've had in 10 years. So yeah, go enjoy this thing. It's fine. They shut out a division rival yesterday. They they could have been a whole lot worse than that. It was 24. They're lucky it wasn't 35 or 40. I mean, they blew them out yesterday.
Let's start with the defense, JP, because they did. They shut out in the NFL. We don't see these very often. That is remarkable to put a goose egg up for someone. And the Jags did it yesterday for a division game. What about their defense made them so special yesterday?
Well, they got an interception early. I think that gave them a little momentum. It was the 7th play of a drive. Indy was moving the ball in the first possession, and then Matty Ice kind of threw one up down the right sideline, and Rayshon Jenkins went over and got it.
And okay, here we go. Then the offense marches down the field, a 15-play drive, just methodically, just taking what they gave them, 8-9 minutes off the clock, and then scored a touchdown. And then here comes the defense out again. Josh Allen gets a sack fumble. They didn't recover it, but they got a 3-and-out. They got 2 more 3-and-outs after that with another Allen sack. There was a false start on Indy. They just couldn't move at all on offense. So the defense was getting home in the pass rush, and they just sold out to stop the run. So they stopped the run. They were forced to throw. Here comes the rush. I mean, it was set up nice. Now, I'll say this. Yes, it's the NFL. Yes, shutouts are rare. Indy did not have their first 2 receivers yesterday. They were not available. But, hey, that's the NFL. Next guy up. Well, the next guy's up for Indy might be an issue moving ahead because this Jags team exploited that and sold out to stop the running game of Jonathan Taylor, and it worked out.
Well, and for the Jags, the Titans are 0-1, and they're in Buffalo tonight as a 10-point dog, and the Colts are 0-1, and they have Kansas City next week. So, that's why the win, and we talked about it a few times on Friday, what a key game this could be in a division in which, who knows, maybe first 1 to 9 can win this thing. We're talking with JP Shadrick, Jags Radio Network, also play-by-play for Westwood One and Touchdown Radio. He did Penn State Auburn on Saturday. We'll ask him about his Westwood One game coming up. But JP, do the Jags have a pass rush? Walker looks for real, and Allen was for real. These are 2 top 10 picks in the last 4 years, and it looks like Jacksonville's got a pass rush.
Well, I'll say this. They had moments week 1. Trayvon Walker had a couple of moments, right? He had a sack on the opening drive of the third quarter back in week 1, and then had the interception coming off and jumping in front of a screen pass, which was nice. Josh Allen had a couple tackles for losses. I'm not ready to say, they've arrived. They're ready to go rush the passer. Von Miller's not walking out of that tunnel right now. But there's potential there. Let's put it that way. I think yesterday was a good step. But because of what we just said, I mean, number one priority for them is to stop the running game. They couldn't do that last year. And they had a guy like Jonathan Taylor, and he would run for 160 on them. And it would be easy. So if you can stop that run game, which they did yesterday, that opens up the opportunity to go rush the passer. But they have the ability to do it. Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen is huge anyway. Like, he's a large human being. He's cut. He's just a big guy, tall. Well, Trayvon Walker's bigger than that. When he walked in the room the first time I saw him, I'm like, oh, come on. Okay, that's why this guy's in the 1 overall pick. Long arms, tall, can move, athletic after he makes plays. I mean, the guy's everywhere. He's got his head on straight, and Allen's showing him the way. Really in the Calais Campbell like vision. So Calais was here a few years ago, veteran player, obviously still playing. You could argue he should still be playing here. We'll save that for another day. But he took Josh Allen under his wing and showed him the right way in the NFL to do business and go about your work and take care of your body and, work around the building outside the football side and put yourself out there in the community some and do things the right way and just be a good guy, right? Well, Allen's doing that for Trayvon Walker, too, at least early, showing him the ropes in the locker room and the weight room, and he's getting him out there on his television show some, and this is the beginning of what could be a nice special relationship between those two.
There were a lot of us, when they paid Christian Kirk all that money to be a 1, we wondered why, because he hadn't proven that he was a 1. And so far through 2 games, the Jags right now are having the early laugh. What is it about Kirk that makes him so special in this offense?
He gets open. Like, he's literally open almost all the time. I mean, and it's not down the field 30 yards. That wasn't going to be the case yesterday against Gus Bradley's defense. He lays back in the secondary and, hopes you take a chance down the field. And, well, there was none of that. All of it was open underneath. So if he's going to get open, throw the ball to him. And he does it. He did it yesterday. 6 targets, 6 catches yesterday. He was was targeted 12 times in week 1 and caught 6 of those because Trevor was a little bit off in week 1. Overthrew him a few times. I mean, the guy is reliable. He's there. He's going to be open over in the short kind of lanes and windows, and that's perfect for a guy like Trevor who is working his way into this season. So, and they had a good off season together, working off to the side by themselves, and they've got a little rhythm going now, and that's a good thing. The one thing they might not have yet is a reliable downfield deep threat, an over-the-top guy to kind of loosen things up. If, for example, they're taking that away, we'll see. It's week 2. Jags are in first place. Not worried about that right now. But Christian Kirk is so far is going to be well worth the price of admission.
Talking with JP Shadrick, Jags Radio Network. Follow him on Twitter at JP Shadrick, Shadrick. Well, how about Trevor Lawrence yesterday? A little workmanlike, 25 for 30. That's 83%, oh, by the way. 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. I mean, it is only his second game of his second year. I mean, JP, I don't know what you were hearing in your neck of the woods. We were having people last week going, Trevor Lawrence, he's never going to amount to anything special. I mean, last year's got to be just written off the table. This is basically the second game of his career because last year was such a debacle. I don't know, JP. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Dave, you're right. It was pretty good. It was the best passer rating in his career, and it was 121.5 yesterday. 2 of those incompletions were drops by receivers, by the way. So, yeah, you can't take anything away from it. He took what the Colts gave them. He didn't really, risk it deep down the field much. That wasn't in the game plan. It was always going to be, whatever's open within 20 yards, go for it. And he made some plays on the move too. And this is where Trevor does some things where you don't see a lot of guys that can do it. He had a play where he rolled left towards the sideline. He's right-handed. And then flipped his shoulders and hips, and in an instant threw to Christian Kirk, and I forget how long the play was, probably about 15 yards, on the left sideline. Between 3 guys, just found a little window, but in that instant, he saw it, turned on the run, threw a dart to him, first down, moved the sticks. And I don't know how you can really teach that. I mean, that's just physical ability, and he's got that, which is incredible. There were another couple times where tight end made the play for him, right? So not every throw can go past the sticks on third down. You'd like for it to, but it's just not possible all the time. Well, Evan Ingram, another new guy in this offense, makes plays, 3 yards short of the stick and breaks tackles and finds a way to get past the line for the first down at least twice in the game. That's why you paid him to come in here for a year, at least 1 year deal to prove it. Well, he's proving it so far with plays like that. So, yeah, Trevor did a lot of good things. He had some help. It's a team game, and it worked out for a nice day at the office for him.
And look I guess this might be nitpicking a little bit, JP. Robinson busted off the one long run. Other than that, they didn't do much with the running game, and their runners are good. Both Etienne and Robinson can run. It's exciting to see Robinson back this quickly. So just your thoughts on the running game. I know it can get better. Was this a Colts playing very good up front yesterday? Outside of the one run, they averaged about 2 yards a carry between Robinson and Etienne. That's got to get better.
Yeah, I agree with that in general. I will say the last 4 drives of the game for the offense, when they're up 24-0, this is certainly nitpicking, but in a closer game, if you're up by 1 score and you have the ball late, you've got to be able to run the 4-minute offense and kill the clock. And they weren't able to do that. So they were trying to do that in the last 4 drives of the game. They had 3 3-and-outs and a turnover on downs to end it and couldn't do anything at all. And most of that was handing it off. So they got to figure that out. Etienne had a couple little bursts, but he always it felt like he took a lot of hits yesterday. I don't know if it's the way he runs or his, just the way his stance is as he's running down the field. He's always kind of open. And I felt like he was head over heels like 3 times yesterday. So I don't know if that's something that can be worked on or whatever. Robinson, I think, looks fine. He's healthy. Like you said, he had that long touchdown, one of the better runs of his career, actually, 37 yards for the score. So, hey, it's not going to come every week for you like that. But I would be a little not concerned. I would work on something on the coaching list this week is that 4-minute offense at the end. Got to be able to move the ball when you're up by one score. They were up by more than that yesterday, but they won't always be like that.
Couple of challenging road games coming up for the Jags. They're in LA to face the Chargers, and in 2 weeks they'll be in Philly to face the Eagles. Jags playing 3 of their first 4 of their first 6 on the road before a 3-game homestand. He's JP Shadrick, Jags Radio Network. Who you got Westwood 1 this Saturday?
Yeah, I'm back in Westwood this week. I've got Clemson and DJ Uiagalelei against Sam Hartman and Wake Forest up in Winston-Salem, Tobacco Country, and should be a pretty good quarterback matchup.
Hey, can you say that? That's pretty good for a Monday to be that much on your game for the pronunciation of the Clemson quarterback. Can you do that again?
DJ Uiagalelei. Have we met, Dave, by the way? Why is this a shock to you?
I'm just saying for a Monday. That's all. You got 5 more days to get that down. You got it down on a Monday. That's well done.
It's not like it's his first game in college. The guy's been around. Like, have you watched TV? What are we doing? Come on, man.
I love it. Don't do too much. I'll be out of a job. That's my job to keep him calmed down, JP. Keep him on his wits there. Well done, sir.
Did I say that we were waking him up after he worked hard all weekend? Okay. Did I say he might be a little ornery? All right. Fine. All right. That's enough with you. All right. You're picking up the tab next time, buddy. That's fine.
That's fine. You know what? It's well worth it. I'll take it. It was nice to see you on Friday, by the way.
JP Shadrick, who did Penn State Auburn in the Plains on Saturday, and now he's back with Westwood 1 on Saturday before doing his Jags duties on Sunday. JP, be well. Get a nap.
Have a great day, guys. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, JP.
JP Shadrick. Was I out of line there?
I was thinking the same thing, but he's a pro. I didn't say it. I didn't want to sit there and, really good job as someone who pronounces names for a living to get that name right.
Well, I just think on a Monday, as a play-by-play guy, that if you did hockey, you had a lot of Wednesday, Friday, Saturday series. You start looking over the Wheeling Nailers roster on a Monday and you go, ooh, a couple challenging names there. If at 8:30 on a Monday morning, I start asking you about Russian wingers, are you going to get every name right?
I'm telling you right now, if you don't think he worked on that on the flight back from Atlanta to Jacksonville Sunday morning, you're crazy. Because that's what he was doing Sunday. He's got the Jag stuff pre and post. He can do that in his sleep.
I want to hear him pronounce Tagovailoa.
Oh, please. He went to the University of Alabama. Trust me. Okay. An Alabama player is not a problem.
Okay.
And by the way, JP caught the late flight out of Atlanta Saturday to get home. For those listening, thanks so much. The bonus hour on the 239 is next.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did that room, Felipe, did the room where you got to go back to switch whatever you switch, did it flood? Is that why all those fans are in there? That control room in the back?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought that's where, just because there's 9 million fans, I just thought there was.
I never go in that room, though.
Oh, I thought that's where you had to go for the Westwood. Everything's there for you?
The Westwood one? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's right here.
Okay.
I didn't know that Lehigh floods that bad. Lehigh floods like crazy.
Yes. It's a swamp.
Yeah. Saturday, when it did not stop raining the entire day, I went to Lehigh. Some of my friends lives there. It's crazy.
Interesting little stat here. The Ravens have more money invested in their D-backs than any other team in the NFL. 20% of their caps on defensive backs.
Yeah, but the problem is their 2 starting corners were
Right.
out.
I know. I'm just.
Right.
They got Marcus Peters back yesterday.
Yeah, but he's not 100%.
Yeah.
And you could tell.
Tyreek hit him with the peace sign. I don't think I've ever seen a receiver as fast as Tyreek Hill.
Logic Man, in terms of letdown, meaning you were let down by their performance, or because remember they were a 6-point dog for a reason. I mean, without their number one receiver, we didn't think they had anybody that could really threaten A&M.
I thought they'd be better at the line of scrimmage.
I will say that I thought they were kind of wearing the A&M defense down, where their pass protection was holding up in the final third of the game.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And it is the bonus hour on a football Monday, the likes of which Miller and Moulton maybe have never had together. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. And by that, we mean, first off, at this snapshot in time, the Bucs, Dolphins, and Jags are all in first. Now, Buffalo wins tonight as expected. Miami's tied for first. But this snapshot in time, baby, even 2 games into a season, I don't think we've ever experienced, Mark, Bucs, Dolphins, Jags, all in first. Bucs and Dolphins 4-0. Hello?
Well, and David, I think more than anything, you and I have been at this a long time. We've watched Miami have a couple of good years. Nothing great. But we've never seen anything close to that.
No.
Not while we've been here. As you mentioned, he channeled his inner Dan Marino for a quarter.
Yep.
And we haven't seen, and we don't think any of you have seen that in a long damn time.
How many Dolph fans at one point in the fourth quarter turned to their children or grandchildren and said, "That's how we used to play. That's how we used to look. We were fun. We were exciting."
And one of the little points I wanted to get into with Orlando, and it's hard because he has long answers, is that it's a little minute detail. But Tyreek Hill had cramps. Went in and got the IV. Now, I'm guessing everybody tries to come back. But at 35-14 in years past, how many times would the number one receiver have just said the cramps are too much and I can't come back? I don't know. But guys wanted to get back on the field and participate. Guys wanted to be a part of it, even down 2 and 3 scores. So those were little things to me in part of the entirety of what that comeback win was for Miami.
You know, I miss not being in studio. Did Felipe go and buy a jersey?
He did not, but he did. If he didn't buy a new hat, it looks very new. I mean, the brim's straight enough that it's not an old hat. He is just in Dolphins cap today. I thought for sure that he was wearing a Waddle jersey today. I thought he was going to be, there's a JP Sports is a place pretty close to where he lives, and they are one of the best sports memorabilia places or best sports wear places in town for jerseys and the like. I thought for sure. In fact, I texted David yesterday. He's on his way. There was 13 seconds left. I says he is 13 ticks away from JP Sports.
I'm really thinking about it now. I have never experienced such euphoria in my entire life in the NFL.
Well, think about it. You're a Dolph fan. They have not won a playoff game in your lifetime. So that's the type of win that would give you maybe a feeling as good or better than yesterday. They haven't been this exciting since Marino. That was before your lifetime. And, you know, even Mark, a handful of years ago when they ran that crazy final play to beat the Patriots, turned out to be, I think, Adam Gase's last win and Ryan Tannehill's last win, I think, as a Dolphin. You know, that was exciting, but that was a team that wasn't going anywhere. And even the last 2 years, you know, 2 years ago, that was like, wow, where's this run coming from? They had a dramatic win in Arizona. They had a dramatic win. You know, Fitz came off the bench to lead them to a win in Vegas. Tua outplayed Kyler Murray for a dramatic win in November in Arizona that year. Yeah, it was fun. They were competing for playoff spots. Last year, they had the 7-game winning streak, something like that.
And throughout the aftermath of all the madness, I just started thinking of little things. When was the last time the Dolphins scored 40 points in a game?
Don't know.
You can't think of it at the top of your head. When was the last time the Dolphins had multiple wide receivers with 100 yards in a game? Can't really think of one time. A quarterback throwing for 400 yards. Ryan Tannehill never did that.
No, as we said before, you got to go back to a guy that wore number 13.
Yeah.
And we said this a few weeks ago. We were intrigued by this Dolphins team, but the one thing we thought they would be this year was we thought they'd be entertaining. And not only have they not been a winning product for 20 years, they haven't even been entertaining. And for as frustrated as Dolph fans were at time in the Marino era, yeah, they didn't win enough for them, but they never sat down in front of their TVs or went to the stadium and said, I'm not being entertained by this. Not until the very end when Jimmy Johnson took over and took the ball out of Dan's hands. For 12 years, basically, when number 13 showed up at the stadium, Dolph fan, whether sitting home or in the seats, was like, all right, baby, I'm here for the show.
And Miami loves themselves a show. And they've got one now. And Buffalo on tap next week. So, well, this win from inside the locker room will be short-lived and moving on. But
so I'm assuming CBS has the game next week, or is it Fox?
Yes.
CBS has it?
I would.
I mean, because now it's not assured that.
Yeah, it's on CBS.
Okay. When is the last time that the Dolphins, for something that they've done, got the number one broadcast team? Because don't you think that Nance, Romo, and Wolfson have to go to Miami?
Absolutely.
I mean, there can't be a better, bigger game on CBS's schedule next week, right?
I'm looking at the games right now, and someone said that because Patriots and Ravens is a Fox game for whatever reason. The only other one would be Colts and Chiefs.
Yeah, no way.
I'm just giving you the games that are on there.
Right. So, and not now, they've done Dolphins games before, but they did them because of the opponent.
Right. They were doing Patriot games. The Dolphins just happened to be the opponent.
Exactly. And I'm sure they were doing them when Brady was the quarterback. So now, Nance, Romo, and Wolfson are going to have to. We got to get the Wolf on by the
I was going to say, you better start efforting now.
I will. We still text with one another. I'll get the Wolf on. So
she owes this show for her nickname, even though no one uses it.
Right. I don't know if she views that as a compliment or not. Okay.
Did Vern ever call her that?
Yes.
Once,
yes.
right?
Yes. A couple times. Vern, quick backstory. So we're in a car for a Gators game, and we're headed to the game. And I'm in the car, Mark's in the car, Tracy Wilson's in the car, and one or two other people are in the car. And we called her the Wolf.
Our old producer came up with the name, and you threw it right at
her.
And I said, with him sitting in the car to totally try to embarrass
him, but also to say to her, hey, we got a nickname for you.
Right.
And then I, of course, being an antagonist, said to Vern, who may have been driving, okay, it might have been Vern and Nancy in the front seat. I don't know. Anyway, I said to Vern, maybe it was at the pregame meal, I'm like, hey, Tracy Wilson, how about we start calling her the Wolf? And, Vern gives it a, chuckle and, what have you, looks at me like, you just shut up and help Danielson, will you? Okay. But later on in the season, all right, he, said, and let's go down to the Wolf. Okay. And I was like, yes. So for about half a season there, she was the Wolf.
Nance has not gone with that yet, as far as I can tell.
Right. So
maybe we'll ask her if she's looking for that out of Nance at some point this season.
So
And she'll be
Bills-
all fired up. Michigan won't lose a game.
Well,
I
I
mean, they
know.
shouldn't lose one until they play Ohio State, to be realistic. But
Right.
that Penn State game's looming. But Iowa doesn't look like it's going to be a problem when they travel there in a few weeks.
No, October 15th, by the way, I could tell you where game day is going to be right now. It's Penn State at Michigan. It's a big game. And this just in, Penn State is pretty good, and they're young. This is probably not their year. Ohio State's better, and they got to go to Michigan. But if by chance they get Michigan on October 15th, they get Minnesota, who may be the best team in the West. We don't know. We don't know if anybody's good out there. And they get Ohio State, Michigan State at home. I mean, their road games after Michigan, Mark, are like Indiana and Rutgers. I mean, it's about as doable as a Big Ten schedule can be.
Well, in Michigan, on the other side, they go to Iowa. They host Penn State. They host Michigan State. They've got to travel, obviously, to Columbus last week in the season. But I'm telling you right now, Michigan's going to be favored in every game they play until they go to Columbus.
Yep.
And outside of Penn State, they'll be favored double digits in every game they play.
Yes, they will. That's why that Penn State-Michigan game, pretty big for who's going to line up and be waving at the Buckeyes going, okay, we're here. You know, you still got to get through us. But anyway, Miller and Moulton, great win for the Dolphins, terrific win for the Bucks, beating the Saints at their game, at their place.
And as you talked about the Dolphin looking around at their kids or whatever, going, hey, this reminds me of something. I know you don't get as excited about defense, but trust me, there are Bucks fans that are our age going, do you see? Do you see you can win a game this way too? See, we've got Brady, and that's great because we're going to need him. But every once in a while, you have to play old school football against a team, and we can win playing that style, or we can win playing an offensive style.
Yep. They turned to their teenage son and they said, we used to call it dungy ball. Okay. Did you ever hear that before? You haven't heard me talk about that recently. Yes. Dungy ball. Now, the difference was on offense, we just gave it to two running backs and we tried not to lose the game. Now we actually have a competent quarterback. We throw the ball around a little bit. But on defense, we used to physically kick the tar out of people. We called it dungy ball.
And they physically kicked the tar out of the New Orleans Saints yesterday. That was a very physical, dominant defensive performance. And right now, if I said the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a top 3 defense in the National Football League, could you argue with me?
Well, Mark, you know why I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I thought with that defense, which unless injuries ravage it, that defense will show up throughout the season. And that I figured offensively, they'll figure it out by the end of the year, much like the year they won the Super Bowl when they were 7-5 and then didn't lose again. Now, they're not a perfect team. The offensive line's got to get better. You and I both think they need to deal some draft picks and get some better players and be all in.
But defensively, a great performance, and that was with most of the receivers out for the game for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when. Still ahead on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, listen, I hate to be a jerk, Logic Man, but as long as in Florida they want to keep playing football and soccer, outdoor sports that needs weather, as long as they want to keep playing them during rainy season, during also kind of the peak of hurricane season. I mean, take a look at when the bad storms come in Florida. It's August and September. You want to keep playing these sports in the worst heat during rainy season, then imagine that. The sports seasons get ruined by the weather. Can't believe it.
And David, he's actually talking about kids' leagues.
No, I know, but it's the same deal.
Well, when are you supposed to play them? Because you play of all these sports. I mean, they got my bitch about that is that the fields were fine. There was no rain Saturday, but apparently if we ruin the fields by playing on wet fields, it's the worst. I don't know what to do. It was sunny and beautiful Saturday morning, but they protect the fields. It's soccer, play in the mud. These are kids. No offense. To cancel games on a Saturday morning because we got to protect the fields is the most asinine thing I've ever heard of in my life. And the people that run those fields in Lee County Park should all be slapped in the head and wake the up.
Well, I mean, this can also be applied to FGCU. So it's been a nightmare with the FGCU soccer games. The men's team has played one full home game this year, and it was in August. Their second game was in early September, and it was called off after 3 lightning delays.
Happens all the time, though. Happens every year. FGCU women had North Carolina agree to come to them and play on a Friday night. North Carolina, the most famous women's soccer program in the sport. Never happened because of rain and lightning.
Yeah, there's a game tonight, and I really hope it starts at 7 and ends at 8:30. But there's
all risk I am. Don't know if I'll get to a watering hole. There are a couple of good sandwich places nearby, though. I can walk to the one.
Sandwich places in Philly. I had a Detroit style pizza yesterday from Jets.
Yeah, it's greasy.
Yeah, but I liked it. It was good. Had some peppers, onions, and sausages.
Can I ask you a couple questions during the next segment?
Sure.
I am at the Four Seasons, Mello. I am at the Four Seasons. I'm a little surprised.
App State Stadium is so cool.
It is.
It's literally just on a mountain. It's awesome.
Beautiful. Give it another month when the colors come in. It'll even be better.
My. Oh, all those trees there. Yeah.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, my gosh. One of the SIDs at FGCU, he went to App State. and he was pretty sad on Saturday when we were working a volleyball invitational, and he wasn't there.
You did volleyball?
I did. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you guys. I did play-by-play for volleyball.
On the ESPN Plus?
No, on a Facebook stream.
Gotcha.
But I enjoyed it. It was great.
Good.
I would do it again if I could. I did 2 games out of 3. We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when to go with some final thoughts, all coming up in about 20 minutes' time here on Miller and Moulton. Mark, can I throw a few things at you?
Do it.
All right. No 0-2 team made the playoffs last year, which is a little surprising because we had the extra game that kicked in last year. You figure you got more time to recover from a bad start, but you and I have gone on at length in baseball that you'd be surprised that by Memorial Day, even though you still think you have got 115, 120 games to go, you could recover. Well, pretty much your fate's sealed by Memorial Day. Last year, if you were 0-2, you didn't make the playoffs. Here are the 0-2 teams, Mark. Carolina and Atlanta. Houston. So we're not buying them.
No.
Okay. Cincinnati. Las Vegas. And expected to lose tonight as a 10-point dog, Tennessee. Of those 3, Vegas, Cincinnati, Tennessee, if one of them were to make the playoffs, who would it be?
Yay.
Exactly. Yep.
Cincinnati reluctantly.
Really? Good for you.
Because the division's still has Pittsburgh and Cleveland in it. Cleveland just did what they did against the Jets. Pittsburgh's a bad football team. I mean, they're already chanting for Kenny
Pickett?
Yeah. It's an offense that is offensive, to say the very least. And I think that the Bengals offense can fix this. I think. I don't know, David.
I would say Tennessee because of the division that they play in. I think you can start 0-2 and still you might win that sucker at 9-8. Especially now that the Colts have the tie. Maybe they've got 8-8 and the Colts are 0-1 and they're playing the Chiefs next week.
Right.
Remember, Chiefs played on Thursday, so they got 3 extra days of rest and all that. I'm just saying, I mean, if the Colts are 0-2-1, hello. So I would say Tennessee, even though I did pick the Raiders to make the playoffs as a wild card team. So this is not very happy about the 0-2 start there. All right. 2-0 teams. Now, just because you start at Denver was 2-0 last year. Carolina was 3-0 last year. You know.
Right. I mean, the New York Giants are 2-0.
Right. Well, there you go. In the NFC, Tampa Bay, the Giants, and the winner of tonight's Vikings-Eagles game. Those will be your 3-0 teams in the NFC. In the AFC, Miami and Kansas City, and then if they do as expected, the Bills as 10-point favorites would go to 2-0. So let's just say the Bills win. And so, you know, pick whichever team you want to win tonight. All right. Giants, Bucks, winner of Vikings, Eagles. Which one of those 3 are you not believing in?
Oh, I actually believe in all of those teams in the NFC.
Even the Giants.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The Giants. No, I don't believe in the Giants. Nobody believes in the Giants. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I believe in the loser of the Eagles-Vikings game for that matter. So I'm sorry. But I do believe in everybody but the Giants in the these are good football teams, whoever wins tonight.
And then obviously, Kansas City and Buffalo and the Dolphins. So how many of you, even though the Dolphins are 2-0, if we asked you, do you think the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs, yay or nay, would still vote nay?
80% of you right now believe in Tua. That's our poll question today.
Wow, it was a hell of a fourth quarter.
Well, and it went the other way, David. You and I both thought this vote would start dropping closer to 50-50. It started about 2/3, 1/3, and now it's 4 out of 5 of you are saying you believe in Tua after yesterday's performance.
Wow.
Hey, look, we left the bandwagon wide open for room to jump on, and you and I certainly cannot fault those for wanting to jump on the bandwagon today, although we find this vote fascinating for how much you've trashed the two of us and Tua over the past couple of years.
Very fascinating. And we, if we're going to pat ourselves on the back, we thought we were very gentlemanly today. We just, we didn't do the whole pound the chest. We weren't obnoxious. We weren't arrogant. We just simply raised the issue in a poll question. Just wanted to see how many of you maybe changed your mind. That's all. That's all. And apparently quite a few of you have. That's good. That's good. We think you're on the right side of this equation. We think there's no reason to go back. This just in, he will have a couple bad games. They will lose some games. All right. Like Stumpy in our Twitch chat room. And I will say he's been defiant from 6:04 a.m. He's a no.
And he's going to stay a no.
Right.
Unless, of course, he beats the Bills, and then he'll jump on the bandwagon with us.
Right. Apparently, Tua can go 6 for 34 for 39 yards. But if they beat the Bills, he's all in now on Tua. So, all right. Good to know. Well, we did have an interesting comment much earlier in the Twitch chat room from a gentleman who said, I've been proposing a straight-up Tua for Kirk Cousins trade for a while. And he's a Vikings fan who wanted Tua, okay? And up until yesterday, he thought that deal could actually take place. And now he realizes, they're never going to make him available, are they?
No.
No,
they're not.
No. Hence the definition of a, wait for it, franchise quarterback. That's all. That's all we're saying. That's basically what we're asking you. And Kirk Cousins is a franchise quarterback. That doesn't mean that most of you Viking fans don't want to light him on fire, but he's a franchise quarterback. He may only be the 12th or 15th best quarterback in the league, but I don't know what to tell you. Somebody's got to be.
So we got 2 Monday nighters tonight. I will tell you that yesterday was a great day for broadcasters. Not just because of the calls and all of those things, but now with that fresh in our head. Tonight gets out of hand. All Joe has to say, hey, don't go anywhere. We all saw what happened yesterday. There's no such thing as a game that's over in this league. I mean, this has broadcaster cliche written all over it. But don't you almost think tonight one of these two games is going to get a little out of hand and the other team's going to come back? Isn't that how this weekend has to finish out?
Probably the second game, probably the one in Philadelphia. If it's going to happen, I think that's the one it's going to happen in. Did you catch Flacco's on the field interview in Cleveland?
I did not.
So, it was moments after they won and they're jacked. And
right.
he even said, quote, "We're freaking out right now." So she asks him about, the comeback. And when they scored with under 2 minutes to go, did you think you had a chance? And Joe said, well, as a player, you're just thinking about the next play. But he said, but, we all saw it just a week or so ago, the App State, North Carolina game. I mean, you referenced it. And once again, it goes back to, Mark, how often we talk about how into Saturdays they are, and it's hardly not a practice day or a light special teams run through, and they are sitting around either the team offices or the hotel or on the team flight. They're watching college ball. And Flacco said, hey, man, we all saw it with App State, North Carolina. We know this stuff's possible. I'm like, wow.
Flacco going App State, North Carolina.
Right.
I did see the freaking out comment, and they were freaking out. You know, as much fun as we're having today, you got to think about what a radio show's like in Baltimore, in Cleveland. It has got to be just horrific. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and what they would describe as the ugly. That's next on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'm guessing you did not watch the second half last night. Or I should say the fourth quarter.
Oh, no. I was gone mid-third.
Apparently, I just read this thing that pretty funny. Apparently, they just started getting a little loose towards the end. And there were 2 clocks, one inside Lambeau set to actual time and one set outside Lambeau, and it's set to Lombardi time. They're like 10 minutes off. And Collinsworth's talking about it and said Melissa Stark time or something like that. She gets on to defend herself about being on time. Tirico gets, backs her. And then at the end of they've got a picture of it. I'm not going to listen to it. Oh, here, let's see if the volume will come up.
Packer fan wins. Bear fan, it's not that bad.
That right there is a Bears fan sitting finishing his beer with a Packer friend girlfriend sitting on his lap, and she gives him a kiss, and that was Tirico's line. That's really solid right there.
It is.
That's really solid. I love how the Twitterverse is almost demanding Collinsworth starts doing the slide again.
Thank you, Stumpy.
Maybe you should slide off the air and not do games anymore.
He's really good.
He's
really good.
And who's going to do it in his place? Seriously.
Oh, by the
Once
way,
again,
do you see Gus left the game?
I'm just talking.
he apparently was sick.
Yeah.
And
So Trent Klatt does play-by-play, and Quinn
Brady-
comes up and does color.
I heard that, yeah. Now, Joel Klatt did play-by-play at golf, so I know he's done play-by-play before. I was actually his spotter for doing play-by-play at golf. 8 to 10 a.m. That was glorious.
But I didn't know it was. I mean, I had that game on, but never had the volume on.
You mean at 49-7, you didn't have the volume on?
I never turned the volume of that game on, period. What did I have volume, Big Noon? God, the noon. Georgia. How long before we start it? How long before we can start the Stetson Bennett for Heisman?
God. Tell you, all I could think of during that game was Chris Landry saying on this show, Georgia will win that game by however much they want to win it by.
It's why I kept watching. If you want to know the truth, it was like, Air Force loses outright. Are you effing kidding me?
Unbelievable.
Are you effing kidding me?
That's
Score 47 and 48 and lose to flipping Wyoming?
That's when you had to know that you were going to have a bad weekend.
My season's done. I got to start betting 5,000 units a game to get back at this, David.
Well, I would have lost my shirt on the Raiders. That would have been a brutal beat. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say to Klecko, like, I'm curious. What were they giving Gary shit about? Seriously.
No, I think he was asking. I think it was just a question. He didn't put a question mark after it. I took that as just asking you a question.
Oh. Because, I mean, God, I was standing right there. I'm like, what in the world could he have said?
I took that as a question. You get sometimes a little defensive on that stuff. I think he was just asking you a question.
Gotcha.
You got to remember that not every, there people are typing fast, and I don't think always grammatically and punctuation's always there. DeNick, is that a Philly place there, all risk? Two for two winning money on DraftKings.
15 seconds.
Well, that's good.
Yes, Klecko Chip did get lucky.
Come back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until we are out of here. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark, do you know with the Packers win last night against the Bears that they are one win behind Chicago for the most wins in the history of the league? So there is a very good chance that sometime in October, the Packers will overtake the Bears as the winningest franchise in NFL history. Apparently, the Bears have been the winningest team in the league since really before the league became the league. I think it goes back to 1921 since they've had the most wins in the history of whatever professional football was back in the day.
Could take a little while. Bears host Houston this week.
Ooh.
Green Bay at Tampa Bay. So pump the brakes a little bit on that one, but I see where you're getting at with that. And you're right. It probably will be into October a little bit. It won't happen as quickly, but the Bears are they're not good, David.
No, less than 250 yards of offense in regulation in both games. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1796, David, we start. George Washington's farewell address as U.S. president is published. Apparently, Amazon Prime wouldn't put him on. They made him publish it. 1893, New Zealand becomes the first country to grant all women the right to vote. 1947, Jackie Robinson named Rookie of the Year. 1952, The Adventures of Superman TV series kicks off with George Reeves as Superman. 1960, The Twist is number one, and both my mom and David's mom are doing The Twist somewhere.
Yes,
Can
they
almost
were.
guarantee it. Today in 68, Denny McClain gets win number 31. Today in 1970, The Mary Tyler Moore Show premieres on CBS. Underrated?
Wow. Probably because of how great the cast was.
Such an amazing cast. Today in 81, at Central Park, these two guys got back together. Simon and Garfunkel. 500,000 people watched it. Did your mom go to that by chance? Was she a guy?
No, we watched it on HBO, though.
As did I. Today in 88, David was at the record store early to pick up Bon Jovi's fourth album, New Jersey. Most top 10 hits of any rock glam metal album. Just for you and for my wife. That's the only reason I even threw that in today.
You know, I never did that for an album. I had a very good friend who died way too young, David Miller. He's the one who turned me on to Madonna. And it was because I said, hey, he's like, I got to go to bed. I'm like, you never go to bed at this hour. And we were in college together. And he goes, yeah, I got to get to the record store first thing tomorrow. Madonna's album is on sale. And I looked right at him and I go, you do know we're in Scranton, right? This isn't the city. And there was Dave Miller, 6 a.m. Place didn't open at 9 a.m. He's in line for Madonna.
89, Doogie Howser, MD premieres on ABC. Also, Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation was released. It would be Album of the Year in 1990. In 1990, Goodfellas premieres. Today in 92, Barry Bonds, for the second time, has a 30-30 season, joining Willie Mays and two others as the only to have back-to-back, or to have multiple 30-30 seasons at that time.
His final year with the Pirates.
And in 92, the demolition of Municipal Stadium, JFK Stadium in Philadelphia. I bring it up because it was built in 1926. It hosted the 1926 Tunney Dempsey fight. It hosted 41 Army-Navy games, the Beatles, the Stones, and the U.S. portion of Live Aid. Today in 93, Tom Glavine wins 20 games for 3 straight years. Today in 94, ER premieres. In 2000, Griffey Jr. gets his 400th home run. He did it pinch hitting. First major leaguer to reach that benchmark as a pinch hitter. In 04, we got whooped in the Ryder Cup at Oakland Hills. Whooped. That was the 18.5 to 9.5. Largest margin by a European team in the history of the event. Those born today that are no longer with us, Duke Snider, Brian Epstein, he was the manager of the Beatles, discus thrower Al Order, Bill Medley from the Righteous Brothers, and Cass Elliot. And Joe Morgan. I'm sorry, I had that in the wrong spot. Those that are still with us, Paul Williams celebrating birthday 82, Nile Rodgers is 70, Trisha Yearwood, Bob Papa, Jim Abbott, and Jimmy Fallon, also all celebrating birthdays today. That is today.
How old's Bob Papa, if you would?
I knew you were going to do that to me when I didn't write him down. He is 58.
Huh.
Miss anything there?
If you're a big history buff, okay. I think the Battle of Saratoga got underway today. I think.
Yeah, I don't really do much on the battles because it's just depressing.
I agree. I will say this, though. It really was the turning point of the Revolutionary War. We were losing. I mean, they can write all the stuff they want. We were losing.
They had just paid that pass up the middle that went for 74, and they were up 35-14, and it looked bleak.
Exactly. All right. And the French actually helped us. It was kind of like Tyreek Hill coming out of the locker room after the IV. Okay. And Saratoga was where we started our comeback. That's right.
Much like apparently the Effort play did it for the Dolphins. If you check out Peter King's column, you can read more about the play that brought the Dolphins back today.
There you have it. Mm-hmm.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, we go to Naples for the good, where folks got to line up and give Nick LaRocco the thanks he deserved. He had just turned 104 and flew B-17 bombers in World War II. Naples is his home, and they did a little reception for him. He is one of less than 250,000 World War II vets currently alive. More than 16 million served in the war. So, Nick, anything that we can do for you is not nearly enough. For the bad, we'll stay in Naples, where Essence Marie Hutto was busted for stealing her mother's car. Mom made the first mistake when she gave her daughter a stripper name. Things apparently got worse because when she was arrested for stealing her mom's car, Mom said she wanted to press charges for the theft of the vehicle. They asked Essence if she had any drugs in the car. She said no. They said, if we catch you with drugs, you're going to get extra charges. Well, the white powdery substance in her skirt tested positive for Peruvian marching powder, and she's now facing more charges. Finally, the ugly, we go to Virginia, where 10,000 people were without power because a squirrel made its way into the substation, knocking out power for Virginia Beach, and 10,000 Virginians were without power for a little over an hour and a half because a squirrel got into the substation. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, September the 19th, 2022.
9 baseball games, 2 of them this afternoon. Any chance the Twins have the finale of the 5-game series in Cleveland against the Guardians. Guardians have won 3 of the first 4. 1 o'clock, Twins and Guardians. Guardians 3.5 game lead on the White Sox, 6 clear of the Twins with 16 to play. Mariners, who have lost 3 straight, are playing a getaway game, 1 o'clock local time in LA against the Angels. Rays are hosting the Astros. Rays right now, Mark, comfortably in the playoffs against the Orioles. They're 5.5 ahead of Baltimore. They're actually battling Toronto right now. They're a half a game apart for 4-5.
You know, you mentioned that Twins-Guardians game, big for the White Sox who have the day off, because after this, the Guardians and White Sox have 3. So a lot in the balance for this game.
Right. The White Sox are like, listen, Twins, win. And then if we sweep, okay, A, we'll be tied. And B, if you then win your games, you'll be like 2 back. So this is our shot, and probably last shot with 2.5 weeks. Regular season ends 2 weeks from Wednesday, by the way. That's how little time there is left in the baseball season. Mets and Braves, who are tied in the loss column. Braves have 6 of their next 10 against the Nats. They host Washington for 3 beginning tonight. Mets have an interesting road trip. 3 in Milwaukee, 3 in Oakland this week. Brewers just got done taking 2 out of 3 at home against the Yankees.
I had a lady tell me to F off yesterday, David.
Whoa.
You know her, and she's a neighbor of mine. She's a big Mets fan.
Right.
I had not seen her in a week. They walked our neighborhood every day, and they typically are walking as I'm getting home from the show. So I always have a little chit-chat with them, and she is a diehard Met fan. Her husband's a Met fan. She is a diehard Met fan. I finally see him Sunday morning because I don't know. I knew they were going to a game in the last Mets-Marlins series. They've gone to 14 Mets-Marlins games. Up until the last game they were at, the Marlins were 13-0 when they show up at games. And so I'm driving past them Sunday morning, literally with my daughter on the way to church. And I see him, and I slow the car down, and I roll the window down. And he's got his Met shirt on, and she doesn't have a Met shirt on. I said, what game did you go to? They said, you know what game we went to. I said, no, you didn't. We went Friday. They're 0-14. She says to me, we're never going again. I said, you've got to go again. So what do you mean? I said, you've got to go again, and you've got to tell me when you're going. And she went, why? I said, so I can bet against the Mets. That's
tell
when
you,
it came out.
I don't blame her at all. That's number one. Number two, next time you see her, all right, since they're convinced whenever they go there, when they go there, the Marlins win, right? Tell her the final 3 games of the regular season, the Braves are at the Marlins. Okay. So you could say to her and say, hey, chance for you to influence the NL East. If you go, you will put the hex on the Braves.
Yeah. I'll try that one.
See if it works.
I will try that one.
See if it works. Don't know that it will, but, as a fan, especially a Mets fan, you're desperate.
At what point do you, don't you have to quit going if you're a fan of a team and you've watched them lose 14 times?
Well, I would, especially in an NL East race that's this tight this year. I would have turned to my spouse and say, we just can't risk it. We can't go. What do you mean? Come on. We're tied in the loss column. We can't go. What are we doing? I mean, if we're 10 back like the Phillies or what have you just go see your team. But no. If we're 0-13, we can't go.
Something right there.
Man. So there you obviously the 2 Monday nighters tonight, 7:15 in Buffalo. I believe it's Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, Dan Orlovsky. It's on ESPN. The first game is on the 4-letter network, 7:15 kickoff. Titans and Bills. Buffalo, let me look here. 10-point favorite, over under 47.5.
I am going to lay the number. I think the Bills win. What'd you say, 40? What's the over under?
47.5.
Whew. I'll go Bills and over.
Okay. So far this weekend in the NFL, home teams are 9-5 straight up. Underdogs against the spread are 9-5. Underdogs straight up are 6-8. So if you're thinking maybe if one of the two between the Titans and the Vikings, if one of them were to win tonight. So home teams are 9-5 so far this week. Underdogs getting the points are 9-5. And then 8:30, where I am in Philadelphia, Vikings, Eagles, 2.5's the number. Over-under's 50.5. So, Mark, basically Vegas, give or take a half point, is saying 27-24 Eagles.
And I'll flip it. I think the Vikings win on the road tonight. Give me the Vikings straight up.
Okay. Do you think, and I don't play this, but Jalen Reagor, who was drafted by the Eagles, a spot ahead of Jefferson, and of course he gets traded to Minnesota. So Reagor tonight facing his former team. Don't you think Cousins and the Vikings go out of their way to get him a score tonight?
100%, because the effort's going to be what? To stop Jefferson after the game he had last week. You can't let Jefferson beat you.
So just wondering, this is sports. These storylines happen all the time. He's not that good. All right. I mean, who knows if he even plays that much, but there's just a part of me that thinks,
There'll be a play or two for him. Guaranteed.
So just throwing that out there.
Give me a KJ Osborne touchdown tonight.
So Mark's taking the Vikings tonight. I'll take the Eagles for what it's worth. Curious about both teams' defenses.
Eagles gave up a lot of points to the Lions last week.
Yes,
but the Lions showed they can do it. They did it again.
I understand, but they gave up a lot of yards too. So
2 Monday nighters for you. We'll be back at it tomorrow with a terrific show. Gary Danielson, David Sampson, Pat Kerwin, all to join us tomorrow. Glad you joined us today. David, enjoy your game tonight. We'll do it all over again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.